Hello! Today we're reacting to the entire history of 2B2T. It's a pretty long video. I know absolutely nothing about this. So let's jump right in. Yippee! I'm going in my corner now. Say hi to YouTube. This is your only chance. Okay. Yippee!
Hey Fit, just wanted to give you a quick update. I made it to 2B2T and it's by far the sketchiest server I've ever been on. Fights breaking out everywhere, looks like a nuclear wasteland, but I can't deny the beauty in it too.
Whoa!
I mean, just look at what people have done. I cannot believe this actually exists. How did this happen? Tell you what, I'll figure it out. I'll go back to the beginning, figure it out, and I'll tell you everything.
So this is a Minecraft server.
And that's exactly what I did. 2010, Minecraft is 1 year old, and two friends have a question. What would Minecraft Anarchy look like? A place with no rules, where you can say and do whatever you want.
Oh, I love
Want
the shader.
Go for it. Want a grief? Go for it. Want to be as toxic as possible? There's nothing stopping you. These friends, Housemaster and George Bush 420, created exactly this. A server called 2 Builders, 2 Tools. With that one decision, 2B2T was born. House brought players in through discussion boards like 4chan, Facepunch, and Something Awful. Quickly, Spawn was...
Okay, I know 4chan, but I never heard of Facepunch and Something Awful.
Demolished, and PvPers patrolled, killing anyone in their sight. Only the strong survive. But there's strength in numbers. So one Facepunch user named 𝗬𝗓𝗔𝗟𝗦 joined to rally his fellow Facepunchers into the Facepunch Republic. He described his early adventures on the forums in a post titled, "Upon the Shoulders of Giants." Because of that post, dozens upon dozens of Facepunchers joined 2B2T and 𝗬𝗓𝗔𝗟𝗦's Republic under the ideology of peaceful anarchy, where they cooperated with one another. This idea insulted the toxic 4chaners, who felt anarchy was synonymous with destruction.
Oh no, don't insult the toxic 4chaners. Oh no.
With tensions rising, the Facepunchers prepared in fortresses like Camp Facepunch, the Fort Creationism Corner, the Dice Temple, and 2K2K.
Oh, okay. So, Something Awful is an old internet page. I see. Does anyone know what Facepunch is?
A base located at the coordinates -2000, -2000,
Whoa.
far away from spawn. Part of 2B2T's no rules means you can use duplication glitches and exploits all you like. To gather gear, the Facepunchers used one of Minecraft's earliest dupes, the piston block dupe. But then, the 4chaner Luke to the Bun destroyed Camp Facepunch, and that's when war truly began.
No way, it's a war? No! How does this guy have so much TNT? Oh, I'd be so messed up, so pissed. It's all war and it always has been. No! Dang, they destroyed everything?
Who weren't even an established group, used spies and hacked clients to gain the upper hand. The Facepunch Republic crumbled after their bases were destroyed. But anarchy doesn't mean war. It means you can do whatever you want. And not everyone leans towards the chaos. For instance, someone placed a ton of furnaces in an area near spawn, later named the Valley of Furnaces. Or take the 4chaner 𝗓𝗓𝗔𝗓𝗏, who joined the server and set out to escape spawn. He made it quite a distance, to the coordinates -400, 800. There, 𝗓𝗓𝗔𝗓𝗏 discovered the abandoned remains of a Facepunch castle, ruins of the past conflict. 𝗓𝗓𝗔𝗓𝗏, peaceful in nature, started repairing the castle, While doing this, he met another player named 𝗏𝗦𝗐𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 players, offering food, materials, and shelter for anyone who passed through. Many were grateful, but word spread about the base's existence.
Oh, no.
One player offered to help out, but betrayed XCC2 by building a massive lava cast while he was offline. Lava casts are a simple way to cause incredible destruction. All they require is a bucket of lava and water. XCC2 logged back in to find a—
Okay, I'm pretty sure I had a server, and when I logged into the server one day, there was like a bunch of lava everywhere, all over like the buildings and stuff. And so I think someone did this to my server.
cobblestone monstrosity in the middle of his base. He destroyed it, and the griefer fell to his death. Later on, 2 hackers named X0XP and Cold Storage 77
What the heck, they're hacking?
had a flying battle above the base. While this was a strange way to meet, XCC2 became friends with both of them. X0XP, looking at the coordinates -400, 800, named the base NFE. But nothing lasts forever on 2B2T.
No.
A Finnish group called 𝗞𝗬𝗠𝗦 found the base and used 4 inventories of TNT,
4?
7,000 pieces, to totally destroy it. After this, NFE was almost completely unrecognizable. How do you come to trust people on a server with such prevalent destruction? Well,
you don't?
the Judge Holden had an idea. He and his buddy—
Okay, so hacks are allowed? That's kind of crazy. Why don't they just like hack and build the whole building in 1 minute?
Vtuber established the base Old Town and invited a bunch of people to it. The Judge Holden felt that most people on the server were pretty chill, so he invited them randomly. His thinking was, if you ask a random person to park your car, they're probably not going to steal it. But if you ask a crowd to park it, the thief is going to volunteer. While the Judge Holden was helping new players at Old Town, he also wanted to practice drawing, and so he chronicled his 2B2T adventures in a comic.
Oh my
In
god,
the first edition, you can see Judge walking around, playing Minecraft dramatically, stumbling across 2B2T ruins and the
ovens everywhere. Wait, that is so creative. He's passing through the Mountain
Valley of Furnaces. By now, the server was way more than just these handful of players. Housemaster revealed that by the summer of 2011, 37,856 unique people had joined 2B2T.
No
Groups
way.
like the Fellowship of the Diamond were established, as were bases like Ravendell, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, and Squidbase. Squidbase was founded
Squidbase.
by 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏5,
Oh,
Police
boat
Mike
murder.
55, and a few others. At the base, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 built a castle with a netherrack roof. When NFE was destroyed, XCC2 joined as well. But the basemates got word that their home may not last for long.
Oh,
They
no.
found out someone was hunting them, and that player's name was Pop Bob.
Ooh, that's a creepy face. Pop-Bob?
Pop Bob was a notorious griefer, so the Squidbase inhabitants were frightened at his arrival. In speaking to him, the squad tried something unexpected.
Wanna join us? Sure.
Pop Bob reciprocated.
Oh!
They invited him to join the base, and he did, contributing to it greatly. He built a glass biodome,
Oh my
a large
gosh.
mob grinder,
He's gonna destroy everything, isn't he? There's no way he's not.
and an underground layer. But then, one of the basemates leaked the coordinates to Luke to the Bun, the griefer who destroyed Camp Facepunch. With the cords, Luke and his friends tytoons281 traveled to Squidbase to destroy it. At the time,
No!
only 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 was online to defend it. He managed to kill tytoons and made Luke come.
Wait, what? His face was a troll face? Wait, I didn't see it. Oh! I was like, what is that face? I get it now. That's so funny. Le troll.
281 traveled to Squidbase to destroy it. At the time, only 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 was online to defend it. He managed to kill tytoons and made Luke combat log. Together, the group initiated Operation Self-Destruct to prevent Luke and tytoons from getting the satisfaction of blowing up the base. In Minecraft, every 1 block in the nether translates to 8 blocks in the overworld.
Oh, I didn't know
which
that.
makes it an extremely effective method to travel far distances.
Oh.
However, on 2b2t, there was a bit of a problem. According to 𝗞𝗬𝗠𝗦, if you logged out at certain parts of the map in the nether, you'd rejoin on the unbreakable bedrock roof with no way to get down. This was a major headache for Housemaster, who was constantly dealing with people getting stuck up there. A couple players sent Housemaster a post from the Minecraft forums, where a server owner described how he had that same issue of players getting stuck on the nether roof, and
Master Chief 01262. Not the actual post, but that's kind of funny. They recreated the post and put a Master Chief picture on it.
Made a plugin to stop it. A couple people in the comments said they tried the plugin out, and it worked. So Housemaster installed it, and the issue was solved. Anyone on the nether roof could type /stuck, and they'd be teleported down.
Oh,
but little did
nice.
Housemaster know, the plugin was written to give 𝗞𝗬𝗠𝗔𝗟𝗦, 𝗞𝗬𝗠𝗧, and a select group of other players backdoor access to the server.
What?
They could teleport to anyone they wanted, spawn in items at will, and bypass
Oh
Housemaster's
my
anti-fly plugin.
gosh.
How did this happen? Didn't that plugin come from the Minecraft forums? Well, it did, but the plugin was written by 𝗞𝗬𝗠𝗧 himself.
Oh my gosh,
But
Pop
what about that forum
Bob.
post? Well, that was written by 𝗞𝗬𝗠𝗦55. The people in the comments, 𝗞𝗬𝗠's friends. The SquidBase squad created a clever ruse to get a major advantage over other players. With this backdoor access, they could do whatever they wanted. Since SquidBase was destroyed, they moved to a new location and started building.
I wonder how they figured that out. Surely, yeah, that is kind of his fault for just downloading something that randomly someone gave him on the internet. But I wonder how it must have taken them so long to figure out how they got those admins.
Now with access to infinite materials, they called this base Plugin Town. Since it cost them nothing, they liberally built with iron, gold, and diamond blocks. Cassie created an elaborate system of underground chambers he called dwarf tunnels. But the plugin wasn't just used for building. They spawned in illegal items like pig spawners, spawn eggs, locked chests, water source blocks, and end portal frames. 𝗞𝗬𝗠𝗧 reveled in this power and went to 0-0 to place gassed eggs to harass different players. He could also access anyone's coordinates to grief their bases. 𝗞𝗬𝗠𝗧 and 𝗞𝗬𝗠𝗧 Mike even created some end portals, but they didn't activate. 𝗞𝗬𝗠𝗧 and 𝗞𝗬𝗠𝗧 thought the end was disabled, but they didn't realize the portal frames were actually misaligned. 𝗞𝗬𝗠𝗧 teleported to tons of different players and bases, destroying them. One day he showed up at Old Town, out of the blue, and placed just some of his infinite supply of TNT, while Oftopia and another member, WillyRoof, hid below. Oftopia told Housemaster what happened, and House went to see it for himself. Invisible, he went to Plugin Town and watched the members using flight while building with illegal materials.
He's got to figure it out.
House even joined a fake base, created to bait 𝗞𝗬𝗠𝗧 there. When 𝗞𝗬𝗠𝗧 appeared out of thin air, Housemaster saw undeniable evidence of the back door with his own eyes.
Yeah.
He removed the nether roof plugin, but Plugin Town and their stashes of illegal items remained.
Ooh.
In 2012, the gods were angry. Twice. XCC2 went to spawn to discover a lightning storm.
Oh my god, this is Minecraft? It looks so old. It literally looks like RuneScape. You have Also, these guys have too much time on their hands. But I see why the power is addictive.
Later, it happened again. This time recorded by Computer Techie. Housemaster must have been experimenting with lightning. These thunderstorms, or thunderstorms in general, will not cause any issues later on. I swear. Anyway, after Old Town was griefed, its members went in a couple different directions. The Judge Holden and other members like WillyRoof and JDW99686 started traveling the nether. Their friend 𝗲𝗏𝗡𝗏𝗡𝗏 had the idea to build a base farther than anyone had ever before, a million blocks out in the overworld.
1 million?
No one would travel a million blocks out just to grief. As they were making the journey, they invited Oftopia, but he declined in favor of making his own base. At the coordinates 1,106,000, they started building, and invited other members like 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 and 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏's 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏's rule of no
Minecraft in
rules
that time
also
was
applies to
wild.
the chat. And
Dang.
𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 was famous on the server for
I'm the
spamming
king
the
of
message,
𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏.
𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 is the king of 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. You mad. This annoyed much of the player base. Aggravated with
Oh my
𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 and a couple
gosh.
other 1 million base members, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 blew it up. Someone even figured out 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏's real name was...
I'm noticing a pattern. Someone gets too much power, too much control, and then they like blow up his stuff. And then people get power hungry, and then they find another way to like get famous, and then they blow up their stuff. Like no one could ever be like famous. It's like complete anarchy.
in fact 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, meaning he doxed himself. I heard rumor that the player who figured this out was able to get Chris's mobile phone number and call him. This spooked Chris so much that he quit 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 forever. This is one of the first examples of 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 players taking things from the server into real life.
That's scary.
But it certainly won't be the last.
Uh-oh.
Another player displaced
People are
by
getting
𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏
doxxed?
griefing Old Town was Oftopia. While all that 1 million base drama was going down, he was vibing. He found an island area in the sea and started building a new base there, with jungle trees and a wool farm he used to create a rainbow road. The base was hence named the Rainbow Islands. Somehow
It's
though,
so
𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏
cute.
and Police Mike 55 got the coordinates and blew up much of the base.
Oh my god,
Seeing
that's
the
so
damage,
lame.
Oftopia decided...
Okay. At first I was like, yeah, I guess that makes sense, they blow up stuff. But now it's just getting lame. It's like, the server could be so cool if you just let people build their own stuff.
to stay and repair it. But later on, he got into an argument with 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏.
Uh-oh.
Oftopia mocked him, but 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 pulled out the trump card. You should be careful, because I know where you live. In Minecraft, of course. 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 revealed he knew Oftopia was still at the Rainbow Islands. When Oftopia logged in the next day, he found the base in ruins and a bedrock cross, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏's signature. Enraged, Oftopia vowed to get revenge.
That's messed up.
He put on his best gear and brewed a secret weapon, potions of harming. Oftopia set out to spawn only to find 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 waiting for him.
This guitar is so good.
After several sword exchanges, Oftopia realized he couldn't beat 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 in hand-to-hand combat. He had to use a different strategy.
Oh, here comes the potion. Well, what happens if they die? They can just rejoin the server.
With that, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 was defeated. A lot of players, even griefers, join up with others to enhance their 2b2t experience, but not everyone. One player named Jang...
Yeah, if you die in this server, can you never have access to it again? That's kind of crazy.
...was perfectly satisfied flying solo. Tens of thousands of blocks from spawn, he embarked on an ambitious project, a wheat farm.
Oh no, you come
back? But not just any wheat farm. The biggest sanctuary the server had ever seen. Over the next few years, Jang built pyramids, sphinxes, and of course...
Oh my gosh, you're right. He probably was building up XP for so long. I can't even imagine what level he was at. That's actually a really cool kill. But to be honest, I think you just pissed off the wrong guy. That's gonna... surely that will, like, screw him over later.
Planted a lot of wheat.
Yeah, that's all wheat.
On his own. At some point, Oftopia joined to help protect him, and the Valley of Wheat became a refuge for new and old players alike. In fact, it was so respected that even 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 visited it without griefing. Even though 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏's back door had been fixed, there were a lot of illegal items still in the game. XCC2, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 and some other players went to create a new base, and they contacted 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 the location of
the
Cream's stash of illegal
Wait, the fields lasted years, which is insane. Oh my gosh.
items. Cream of the Slop told them where it was, and
Cream of
XCC2
the
and
Slop.
Hasio 5
That's such a good
retrieved the
name.
loot, including spawn eggs and Bedrock. At Ziggy Base, someone was experimenting with FreeCam, a newly created hack. FreeCam lets you fly outside of your player, almost like spectator mode.
Oh.
The experimenter discovered if you opened a chest outside of reach using FreeCam, then took items out, the items would become zeros. 0 items can be tossed or put into chests infinitely. This was a new duplication glitch.
Ooh.
XCC2 and the others set up auto clickers to fill chests up
That's
with
so
these duped
smart.
items and duped the illegals they got from 𝗞𝗬𝗠𝗔𝗟𝗦. Passy used the duped Bedrock to build a monolith from the dead.
You know what's kind of funny? I'm thinking of them doing the duplication glitch, but then just so that the server admin doesn't like take away their privileges again. I'm thinking of them like trying to wash the Minecraft resources. Like money laundering, but like Minecraft resource laundering.
Space video game. Something the 2B community named the Bedrock Comet. The 𝗤𝗍𝗓 squad also built a bedrock wall, damming up the ocean shore, and a bedrock bunker. When the base got different visitors, they decided to abandon it. These bedrocks...
Okay, my question is, I see how they put the bedrock down, but how do they pick it up? Like, once you put it down, isn't it down permanently? Maybe some people have, like, certain weapons where they can dig it up, I guess?
Structures weren't the only fallout of the backdoor's illegal items. 2B2T updated to version Java 1.0 back in November of 2011.
Oh my gosh!
The Minecraft version that added the
Minecon!
end dimension. But
Is
2B
that a
players
thing? I want to go to
couldn't
that.
get to the end. Only 3 strongholds generated per Minecraft world at the time, and the chunks where the strongholds would generate had already been created. This effectively locked the end dimension. When players petitioned Housemaster to open it up, he refused.
What?
However, in March of 2012, XCC2 got his hands on a stack of end portal frames and
Let's
wanted to
go.
open an end portal himself. In regular Minecraft worlds, every end portal is within a stronghold, so maybe that's the key. XCC2 and Police Mike 55 rebuilt an entire portal room by hand,
Wow.
placed the portal frames, and it activated.
Whoa.
The 2 of them, with JDW99666, killed the Ender Dragon, collected the Dragon Egg, and then dipped. However,
Yay.
another player named Jack the Ripper entered the new dimension, built a bridge hundreds of blocks from the main island,
Is he
and
gonna do
started
a
a base.
Ender farm?
He was far out of render distance of anyone standing on the main island, so it was impossible for anyone to tell he was there. Being
that's
hidden over
smart.
the void in a dimension few people have reason to travel to is one way to hide your base, but you could just go really far. That's what the Viking group did. A group of players, including 𝗤𝗬𝗓𝗏. The Viking group got onto the nether roof and traveled
Yeah, surely he won't get found, but somehow they figured they have him in this video.
far out
Viking
and started
group.
building a base.
Oh, I like the panda
𝗏𝗏 used a
skin.
mod called Voxel to turn the famous statue of Christ the Redeemer into something that could be built in
Oh,
Minecraft.
the Brazil!
Then
Brazil!
he built it. To the disdain of the other members, 𝗏𝗏 essentially took over the project.
No way!
So the base was named Imperator's
this in
Base, or
Emperor's
𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 fascinating with tons of lore behind it, which we'll get to later. Knowing how much fun they had after the first backdoor, PopBob and X0XP wanted to do it again. Last time, they did it by giving a plugin to fix a headache-inducing exploit for Housemaster, so they thought to try that once more. PopBob and X0XP had an exploit that allowed minecarts to travel super fast without rails. This would generate tons of chunks, lagging the server tremendously. After showing the exploit to House, they gave him their plugin. This time, the plugin didn't have anything malicious except for its ability to auto-update. At this moment, the plugin wasn't backdooring the server, but all it'd take is one upload from PopBob, and suddenly he'd be back in business. Wary of what happened last time, Housemaster gave it to another coder named Ben Jojo, who removed the auto-updater and hosted it on his own server. There, he saw what PopBob was trying to do, and this time, it didn't work. Housemaster must have been pretty irritated with PopBob. Not only was he trying to backdoor the server again, but House was still dealing with the repercussions of the previous backdoor. He wasn't happy when he found out players generated the end, so in the summer of 2012, he completely closed it.
Why did he
Jack the
close
Ripper
it?
was still basing there, but logged in one day to find he was in the overworld in the exact same coordinates as his end base.
No!
With his base and the entire dimension it was in now Thanos snapped, Jack went onto the nether roof to do something else. He traveled so far he made it 4.4 million blocks in the overworld on the negative axis.
Bro,
We called this
so
base
sad.
the Lands. The Lands technically has a longer name, which I will refuse to utter. The server updated to Minecraft.
What is it? The other name?
Huh?
1.3 in August of 2012, and 1.4 a few months later. 1.3 brought written books into the game, and 1.4 brought the
I bet it's a slur.
written books were
yeah.
pretty cool because players could sign messages to one another, write diaries, and create cool collectible items.
Aw,
However,
they can
2B2T
Minecraft
players will
e-date.
find a way to exploit any feature, and books were no exception. X0XP was browsing a hacker forum when he learned of an exploit called the book hack. This edited the NBT data of books and could add any enchantment at any level. With the book hack, anyone could create books with
Dude,
sharpness.
how do people find out these exploits? That is so... I play a game for like 5 minutes, and I'm like, I guess I can't do it. That's so crazy. Why does this bring me back to my SMP days? I think because it's kind of like an SMP. Hi, Junie. Hi, Thomas.
32,000.
Unemployment,
which one-shot
mostly?
any player and any mob.
Oh my
Looting
God.
32,000, which caused a single mob to drop a double chest's worth of loot and knock back
Whoa.
32,000, which sent players and mobs into the stratosphere. Is it any surprise that the
Holy
book hack
crap.
spread across the server? Jack the Ripper actually used looting 32,000 to kill zombie pigmen, which dropped tremendous quantities of gold.
Wow.
With this,
That's
he
so
built the
smart.
server's very first fully powered beacon. The book exploit could also be used to sign books in other people's names.
I wonder if we've gotten to the point where Redstone is, because the game is updating as the years go by. Because apparently this server was started in 2010, I think what they said.
Frickin created a book of chords, which had famous players' names and X and Y numbers next to them. And the book was signed by Housemaster. Frickin went around trolling people, saying that Housemaster had given him chords to everyone's bases. New players were like, what? He can't do that. This isn't Anarchy. The exploit only lasted 1 weekend, but it sure was powerful. The year is now 2013, and the month is March. A player named Dr. Zombie joined 2B2T and recorded himself escaping spawn and exploring the ruins. He called it the world's worst server because of the toxicity.
The
Dr.
world's
Zombie
worst server.
continued to upload content on the server in this exploratory Let's Play style for the next 8 years. In April, Housemaster temporarily put the server onto a testing map to experiment with different plugins. There,
I hope
two
everyone
groups met.
remembered to pay your clown tax today.
Thank you, Thomas, for the 100 videos. Thank you for the clown tax. Yes.
And built a base together. The first was called the Black Flag Group, and the second, Brad Pitt would. By Brad Pitt, I actually mean a
Brad
certain leader
Pitt's
from
what?
Germany in the 1940s,
What?
but I'll refer to him as Brad Pitt. Normally, what happens when two groups come together is someone does something.
Wait, so it was like Hitler would? Is that what he was saying? Damn, why is everyone so racist online? It's so strange. Or edgy, I should say. I don't really know. Nuked the spawn area? Oh my gosh, Junie.
That angers another player, the beef escalates, and then no one ever talks to each other again. However,
Wait, what the heck?
Black
That guy
Flag
looks
Group
naked.
and Brad Pittwood enjoyed working together so much that they decided to join into one group called Valkyria. When Housemaster brought back the main 2B2T map, Valkyria stuck together. The Valkyria base was built, and
Wait,
a
why
lot
are they
of the credit
censoring
for
that?
that construction goes to Sato86.
Why did they
At
censor
Valkyria,
that?
one of the members, Kino Rana, observed something strange. If he had a bow and used all of its durability, it would break, as items are supposed to. However, the bow would leave behind a ghost. The ghost bow couldn't be used but it could be placed into an item frame. If this was done, when the item frame was broken, the bow reverted back to normal. 𝗞𝗬𝗠𝗦 tried to figure out if there was a way to get non-durability items into this ghost state, and he did. If he took items out of a minecart while in free cam, as the minecart was sent through a nether portal, he could generate items out of thin air.
What?
He gave this dupe to Valkyria, and they used it to become the most powerful group with the most powerful gear on the server.
That is so
𝗬𝗠𝗠
cool.
used duplicated diamond blocks to build Valkyria's famous symbol, the eagle.
The
Jack
eagle.
the Ripper, who was a member of Valkyria, stated that before this, groups on 2b2t came together from outside sources. People who played together on other servers joined 2b2t at the same time and worked together. But Valkyria was different. This was the first time a 2b2t group was formed solely around people from within 2b2t.
Yeah.
They were genuine 2b2t friends.
Aww.
As Valkyria's construction
They're
was coming to a
genuinely
close,
unemployed.
many of its members were bored. When people are bored, their minds start to think, and one of the group's founders came up with the idea of invading Spawn. 𝗬𝗠𝗠 said usually that idea would be refused, but the conditions were perfect. Every Valkyrian was equipped in 𝗞𝗬𝗠𝗏's duped armor, strong enough to challenge any threat they could come across. A few scouts, like 𝗫𝗠𝗏 and 𝗫𝗏𝗔𝗟𝗦, went ahead,
Wait, people have gotten married in this server? You're joking. That's crazy.
setting up farms to sustain the coming army. As part of their invasion, Valkyria decided to occupy 2K2K, a symbolic place.
2K.
They cleared out all the withers, killed a bunch of new players, but
Well, these pictures
2K2K
are
soon fell to the griefers.
So like old.
The whole event lasted just a week, and there were no clear goals, no objectives, and little organization. It was labeled a failure, but set the stage for monumental events later on. This was 2b2t's first incursion. Valkyria wasn't without drama though. 𝗫𝗠𝗏𝗏 wasn't happy with the way 𝗬𝗠𝗠 was running things, so he burnt down several houses, stole items from 𝗞𝗬𝗠𝗏's vault, and eventually left the base. A few weeks later, Valkyria was griefed, and all fingers pointed towards 𝗫𝗠𝗏𝗏. Because of this, he took a break from playing the server. Soon after the first incursion, some more stuff went down. PopBob had been sharing his hacked client with X0XP, but stopped letting X0XP use it. Upset he was without a hacked client, X0 went on to develop his own, which he called the Brad Pitt client. The Brad Pitt client had quite a number of advanced
Every time
features.
they say Brad Pitt, I know that they mean Hitler now. Also, I love seeing them crash out. It's so funny.
Including a hack that let you walk on water, a hack that showed you players' logout locations, and even an exploit that allowed you to teleport to your spawn point without losing your items. X0XP shared the client with the 2B community, but of course, it was backdoored. With a single command, he could get the coordinates of every single person using the client, which compromised the location of a ton of bases on the server, including 𝗫𝗏𝗏𝗏's and one of Valkyria's. At the same time, the video game magazine IGN posted an article and video on the 6 most amazing things I've seen in Minecraft. One of them was 2b2t Spawn. A storm of new players toured the server to see Spawn for themselves. If Valkyrians weren't angry from the Brad Pitt client situation, well, they were fired up now. Thus, the second incursion began with 3 objectives. 1. Destroy all new player farms and bases around Spawn. 2. Kill all new players. And 3. Protect XCC2's restored NFE. The Valkyrians built a spawn base and even built beacons and highways across the area. The second incursion lasted 2 months, and 𝗬𝗠𝗏 estimated they killed thousands of new players. 𝗬𝗠𝗏 had mixed feelings about the incursion though. He felt they may have been too brutal and scared new people away, players who could have become regulars and even new friends. After the incursion, 𝗬𝗠𝗏 invited Jack the Ripper, XCC2, and others he met during it to rebuild Valkyria, which they renamed to Valkyria 2.0.
Whoa,
Soon though,
they have like a ship?
rejoined the server and was coming after Valkyria again. Someone gave PopBob the cords to the base to defend it from Drew. Big mistake. PopBob showed up at Valkyria, so 𝗬𝗠𝗏 ordered it to be abandoned. A few months later it was griefed, but even a decade after the fact, we still don't know exactly who did it. These days, 2b2t has hundreds of players online at any given moment.
That is
But
so
back then,
cool.
the player base was much smaller. At the time, Housemaster was paying for the server out of his own pocket, but that was unsustainable.
Yeah,
In September
how much was it?
2013, House posted on the 2b2t website that the server needed $90 a month to keep running. If not, he'd be forced to shut it down. This donation goal was pretty steep, and there were some months when XCC2 and Offtopia fully funded the server themselves.
$90? Wait.
Still, people were playing and bases were
Okay, is it out of touch to say that I don't think that's a lot? Like, that's definitely a lot. But that's not like... That's really... He's making it seem like it's $900 a month. Anyway.
established, like Asgard 1, Shenandoah, and Castle Hateheart. Castle Hateheart was the home of a player named Legit Yarrick, who played 2v2t.
$90 in 2013 was like 20k today. True.
Without using coordinates. Since he wasn't using coordinates, Yarrick wanted a way to be able to
Oh yeah,
find
if he's
his base
unemployed,
from
that makes
spawn.
sense. Or like a
So
college
he built
student.
the Old Spawn Road, a winding pathway tens of thousands of blocks that brought him all the way to Castle Hateheart, an inn where Yarrick helped new players. Some people use the Old Spawn Road to find the location of a base, Yarrick's base, while others use something far more sophisticated. The player Atrica realized that when lightning strikes in Minecraft,
Oh, that's
the
$1,000
thunder
a
sound
year.
is directional, meaning if lightning strikes behind you, you'll hear the sound coming from behind. For some reason though, Minecraft thunder sounds can travel as far as 160,000 blocks. On top of that, lightning only strikes in loaded chunks. That means if you hear the thunder, you can draw a straight line from where you are to another player. What makes this dangerous is when you add some simple mathematics. If you have two accounts in different locations and then hear the thunder, you can triangulate the exact location of it, revealing a player's coordinates. This is exactly what PopBob did, and he called it the Thunder Hack.
The Thunder
For
Hack.
months, PopBob terrified the server, finding bases, destroying them, and killing all their inhabitants. Like when he attacked a lowly fisherman named Fit. Even after Housemaster disabled Thunder, PopBob continued his reign of terror because of how many coordinates he had stored. Using this, he and a few buddies, 𝗏𝗏𝗏 and 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, were able to find Imp's base. By now, the base had grown tremendously, and 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 invited the three newcomers to join.
I love
took a
that dome,
screenshot
it's
of
so
the Jesus
cool.
statue 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 built, and it actually became the background for 2b2t's website, representing the family-friendly Minecraft server values 2b2t so wholesomely espouses. For years, PopBob had been up to no good, but 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 and 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 were
For
just
years,
getting started.
PopBob has not
In December
gotten a job.
2013, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 became acquainted with Housemaster. House was looking
That
for
dome
help
has
from
a Brad
coders in the
Pitt symbol
community,
beneath
so
it?
Tristan and
What?
𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 stepped up. They created a plugin that made it impossible for players to access the nether roof, and fixed an issue with anvils. The plugin looked legit, so Housemaster ran it.
Dude, Housemaster
looks
is
can
like
be deceiving.
the dumbest guy I've ever seen in my life. He keeps accepting plugins from these people that keep putting backdoors in the plugins. I feel like he's doing it on purpose at this point. He can't be that dumb.
Because there were malicious lines hidden within the code. For one thing, Tristan and Pyro wrote it so they could still access the nether roof if they were riding an entity. Secondly,
No, I
the
don't want a
anvil
plugin
fix
to make my
actually
stream
allowed them
better.
to get infinite items. If they added the string /0xA7 to the end of an item name, it would become negative. And we know how dangerous negative items are. The most insidious part of the code though, the ability to get admin access to the server. They created an incredible amount of illegal
how do you
items,
not
like
see
player
that?
heads, gas spawn eggs, and weapons and armor, with enchants at level 32,000. 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 created a weapon he called the 666 sword, a diamond sword with
Nice.
sharpness 666. They also did something that wouldn't be discovered for another 4 years.
Years?
He removed the plugin, but this wouldn't be the last time Tristan and Pyro got away with something this insane. On New Year's Day, 2014, some strange stuff was going on at the lands. If you were there in spectator mode, you'd have seen 𝗤𝗤𝗏 hanging out with his friend 𝗤𝗏𝗏r and a third player, 𝗤𝗏𝗏r1. This wasn't an alt of 𝗤𝗏𝗏r, it was actually a clone. And when 𝗤𝗏𝗏r's clone was killed, it dropped all of his items. 𝗤𝗏𝗏r had accidentally discovered a duplication glitch, but he didn't know how to replicate it. 𝗤𝗏𝗏 started experimenting and learned that the server would kick you if you sent a chat message the same moment you joined, as long as you were riding an entity. This created a clone that could be killed to duplicate an entire inventory, but it had a problem. The clones showed up as actual players in the tab list with a number on the end.
That's
Even
pretty
when the
funny.
clones were killed, they were still on the player list. People got suspicious, but the dupers claimed, oh, these are just alts. They weren't. If too many clone ghosts were on the server, it would completely crash. Because of this, Housemaster stepped in and patched the duplication glitch. According to 𝗤𝗏𝗏, 2B2T's main
I feel like
map was
Housemaster
down
is just
from
like a
March
dad
until
trying to
almost
control
June.
his kids at
The
this
main
point.
server was struggling with crippling
keep
lag,
poking the
and Housemaster
buttons.
was trying to figure out how to deal with it.
Pushing the
But
boundaries.
when people got back onto the server, things were pretty much back to normal. And by normal, I mean angry and ready for destruction.
Yes,
One player
normal.
named 𝗤𝗏𝗏 had joined 2B2T and was bragging about how he was going to destroy every old player base and monument on the server. He said he'd destroy Passy Town, he'd destroy NFE, he'd destroy the Valley of Wheat. This got
not
on
the Valley of
everyone's nerves,
Wheat.
and they wanted to do whatever they could to stop him in his tracks.
Yeah,
Someone
kill that
caught
guy.
rumor that 𝗤𝗏𝗏 was staying with 𝗤𝗏monger, a player who mostly kept to himself.
Whoa, I like
Pop Bob had
Warmonger's
𝗤𝗏monger's cords from the Thunder hack, so people got prepared for the invasion. According to both 𝗤𝗏𝗏 and the infamous griefer Jared 2013, as many as 20 people invaded 𝗤𝗏monger's base to destroy it.
What?
This invasion included Pop Bob, Jared, XCC2, 𝗫Tristan, and Pyrobyte. 𝗤𝗏monger, of course, was furious and sought vengeance on the people who had wronged him. At the end of July of 2014, a strange and now infamous message appeared on the 2B2T website. It said, Housemaster has left 2B2T forever and is no longer in charge. The server will continue like normal though, and will be operated by an anonymous friend.
What?
Most people believe that anonymous friend is George Bush 420, but we can't be certain. 2B2T players do believe this message was for real and not just a troll, because the server owner's personality, especially how he communicated in emails, changed after this post. For the sake of simplicity though, I'll continue to refer to the server owner as Housemaster. Things were pretty quiet on 2B2T
Thank you for the follow,
until
Cheeseman.
December. It was
Thank
then
you.
that the player Thebes and Sound began a new operation. On the x-axis, 26,000 blocks south of spawn, Thebes started binding. For the next 4 months,
I wonder why
he
Housemaster
mined and
stopped.
built. What was he building? A canal.
A
He
canal.
met another builder named
A
Chad
manor.
DX, who was working on building spawn roads. About 1,200 blocks from spawn, Chad found a coastline that naturally connected to the canal, and they built a structure they named the South Axis Boat Terminal. Thebes and Chad created a new group as well, the Southern Canal Corps. One member,
a weird
Turtle
flag.
Darkness, brought the canal from 56,000 blocks all the way to 100k. The Southern Canal would
that's so
continue to
cool.
be constructed for years to come. Halfway through December,
canal.
the player James Russells posted the very first entry to the 2B2T blog. This was a site he started because he felt there wasn't a great place for 2B2T discussion apart from the website itself and FacePunch forums. The only problem with those is
I'm
the
so
mods
curious what
sometimes deleted
FacePunch
people's
is.
posts. Fighting back against censorship, James' first entry was about the Gape 2.0, a 254 by 254 block hole dug to bedrock by hand. The Gape 2.0 was of course inspired by the original Gape, started by Victor96 and Cytotoxic T-Cell. When the original Gape was griefed, they wanted to move further out, so the
The FacePunch forum was a large online community centered on the source engine and games like Garry's Mod and Rust, created by the game development studio FacePunch Studios.
group went to the -4444 Nether Highway. The Gape member Khaleesi was building a Temple of Light, and
Khaleesi.
Coconut 4 started building the Temple of Darkness. One day, a griefer named 𝗦𝗬𝗖𝗜𝗦 was walking down the nether highways when he started bragging in chat that there were obvious signs of life and there was gonna be a base at the end of the highway. James Russells asked him which highway he was on, and he said -4444. Shoot. James and the Gape crew started freaking out over Skype because their base was
Over
at the
Skype?
end of the highway, and 𝗦𝗬𝗖𝗜𝗏 would surely
Pre-Discord.
destroy it when he found them. But James had a plan. He ran to the highway, built a wall out of netherrack as if the highway had ended, added some lava to make it look more legit, and then jumped in. Just minutes later,
What?
𝗦𝗬𝗖𝗏 found it and wrote in chat, "Oh my god, someone was digging this tunnel and must have died." He then turned around and left.
He baited
Thus,
them.
the Gape 2.0
Sailor
was
Moon.
saved. Now, let's move to 2015, the prelude to the darkest year in 2B2T history. Things didn't start that way. In fact, they
2015.
started pretty chill. In the
Yeah.
early part of the year, 𝗬𝗏 commanded Valkyria to abandon the Fenrir base and start working on
Whoa,
Asgard
an
2.
airplane?
Asgard
That's
2
so cool.
was stacked. Its members included what must be half of every player I've mentioned so far, and a great many I should have.
Okay.
Things were going well until the coordinates went public. Some say it was leaked by an anonymous player, others say it was 𝗬𝗏 himself who did it accidentally. In any case, Ormonger got his hands on Asgard 2's location and was on his way, hoping to get retribution for the uncalled for
Whoa.
attack Valkyria had conducted against him. 𝗬𝗏, knowing the Valkyrians could channel their anger into something constructive, incited a third incursion. Valkyria would go to spawn
incursion.
and create ginormous bases to occupy it. The
Whoa.
first would be Wrath Outpost, and when that fell,
Wrath
they'd make
Outpost?
another, continuing through each of the 7 deadly sins. There was also a
Whoa,
Hypebeast
that's
base
pretty cool.
representing the 8th deadly sin. The only purpose I can see is to flex on new players. Pyrobyte still had an infinite ender chest item, which could be turned into infinite obsidian. With this, the Valkyrians designed and constructed Wrath Outpost, a massive, and I mean massive structure. The centerpiece, a single block of bedrock placed by Pyro. People tried to
Wow,
take Wrath
that's so
Outpost
cool.
down, but it wasn't going to be easy. One day, 𝗦𝗏Tristan, PopBob, and Jared2013 got the jump on the Valkyrian Henry. When Henry was
No.
vanquished, they began to lava cast the base. But soon, reinforcements arrived.
Oh.
𝗬𝗏86, Jack the Ripper, and Fit all emerged from a nether
Kill
portal
them.
and fought off the invaders. Both Jared and Tristan ran, and PopBob purled away and combat logged. Pyro then used his infinite block of TNT to destroy the lava cast. During the
That's
incursion,
cool.
2 new players, 𝗏𝗏𝗏 and American Oreo, were walking to their base
Oreo!
when they encountered a Valkyria member. Not knowing what the third incursion was, 𝗏𝗏𝗏 and Oreo killed the Valkyrian. Within 15 minutes, 𝗬𝗏 appeared,
Yeah, Desire, that video did so well on my YouTube. I think last I checked, it was like 4,000 views. I've never had that many before. That's so cool.
decked out in max gear and killed 𝗏𝗏𝗏 and Oreo with ease. 𝗏𝗏𝗏 declared war on Valkyria,
Yippee!
creating the Vortex Coalition,
The
Voco
Vortex
for short,
Correlation.
a team of
Let's
players set
go!
against the server's most powerful group. Despite this opposition, Valkyria occupied spawn for an entire month, and the incursion
Yippee!
was deemed a major success.
Oh, it's at 5K?
With everyone
Let's go.
focused on the incursion, Jack the Ripper realized something. Everyone, and I mean everyone, was busy at spawn. That meant there was a place, well, not just one place, an entire dimension really, that was utterly neglected. The end.
The end,
Maybe
yeah.
this was Jack's chance to finally build the end base he always wanted to. So Jack went to the end and followed a bedrock pathway made by a buddy of his, Stupid Walrus. Housemaster had implemented a plugin to
Wait,
patch
isn't there a
holes
guy
in the floor
at
of the
the
nether,
end?
but it also patched
Or
holes
no, he
in
was
the
at the
floor of the
nether,
end.
I think.
Meaning if you placed a block in the chunk, it would create a 16 by 16
What?
bedrock platform. Anyway, Jack followed the pathway to a base Walrus built and bridged away from that, hundreds of blocks over the void. Walrus did all the hard work of getting animals into the end, so Jack
Wow.
snagged a couple of those and started construction. Resources in the end are limited, but Jack had help. XCC2 showed up and gave Jack some of his infinite items, Stone,
Aw.
wood, gold, iron, emerald, and
That's
beacon.
so-
Pyrobyte also pulled up and gifted Jack infinite quartz and dirt.
Aw.
Those weren't the only illegals Pyro gave Jack. He also gave some player heads, pig spawners, a gas egg, and a singular piece
Dude,
of
Jack
bedrock.
is
Jack
loaded.
used the gas egg to convert one of the pig spawners into a gas spawner and placed the bedrock at the bottom center of the base. After building the main section, inspired by a giant stone temple Jack had built in the lands, the base was really coming together.
Wow.
Jack called
okay.
it Space Valkyria.
Space
Valkyria
Valkyria?
allowed Jack to have a
This is
secret base
awesome.
and still be involved in the incursion. He had a hack called Glide that let him walk over air back to the main end island.
Oh, that's
He could
so
take
smart.
part in spawn activities with ease. One time, he and the other Valkyrians were hanging out when Jack started showering everyone with an XP bottle he got from Pyro.
Aww.
It just kept going. When the spawn shenanigans were finished, all he had to do is glide from the main end island back to Space Valkyria. But that wouldn't last forever.
Oh no.
On May
No,
28th, someone
Jack!
discovered the /tell exploit. On 2b2t, you can send people direct messages, but you could also send messages in mass to anyone within certain coordinates. With just a few messages and some quick maths, you could triangulate the position of anyone on the server.
No!
The only thing it didn't say was their dimension.
Oh.
Jared 2013 and Taylor 112 used the exploit to find Jack the Ripper's coordinates,
Oh,
just
no.
a few thousand blocks from 0-0. They
But-
checked the overworld. Jack wasn't
Yeah,
there.
overworld.
They
he's
checked the
not.
nether. Jack wasn't there. That could mean only one thing. He was standing on a platform over the void in a hidden end base. That's how Jared and Taylor found Space Valkyria.
Frick,
Since the
man.
base was no longer safe, Jack knew he had to abandon it, even though it wasn't finished. So he bridged out another direction for 1,000 blocks or so
Oh,
and
that's
started
smart.
Space Valkyria 2. Even after Jared and Taylor destroyed the base, Taylor knew Jack was still in the end and taunted him. Taylor sent Jack a screenshot of him breaking an end portal with a lava bucket and threatened to lock Jack in the end for good.
That's
If Jack
messed
died
up.
and all the end portals were deleted, his base would be lost forever. But Jack had everything he needed. He had all the materials he needed to construct an epic base and a
An
client
epic
that made it
base.
close to impossible to fall into the void. Knowing it was the only way to keep himself safe, Jack went on an ult to all the end portals around and destroyed them, blaming Taylor and Jared in the process.
Oh,
This
no
gave Jack a
way.
complete monopoly over the end dimension. With that security, he built Space Valkyria 2.
Oh, let's go, Jack.
When the
That's so
third incursion
smart.
was complete, a number of Valkyrians went to the new base, Aureus City, founded by 𝗤𝗏𝗧 and 𝗏𝗏𝗏.
I like this
𝗤𝗏𝗏 built
place.
a large gold farm and housed an assortment of builds from various players, like James Russell's Colosseum. Aureus wasn't the only city founded after the third incursion, though. Ormonger, Brunillan, and Drew Bookman worked together to create King's Landing and invited a bunch of
King's
other
Landing.
people,
Oh,
like
this is when Game
Yellowstone
of
Joe
Thrones
and
was
iTristan
definitely a
as well.
thing.
iTristan leaked the chords in chat when trolling Ormonger, so they self-destructed. When that happened, most of the players went to 𝗤𝗏𝗏's
It looks
base,
like a cake.
𝗤𝗏grad, which was also known as KGB. Many
like
of the
that place.
cinematic recreations you see right now are made with world downloads collected by Project Vault. Project Vault
Wow.
was started in the fall of 2015 by Spartan512, who
My
hosted
Little
famous
Pony.
bases on a separate server. Not long after that, Vice posted an article
Vice
about
posted an
2b2t
article?
titled
What?
The Worst Place in Minecraft. The author describes joining the server. He writes, green fields, blue sky, cute cubist sheep, quaint hamlets. That's what I anticipated, but this isn't what I see around me. This is
Whoa.
some unforgiving cyber wasteland, a hellish, pixelated world where one wrong step will lead not only to my death, but to public shaming of my virtual ignorance as well. I survey my surroundings one more time, plot a descent route, and take my first step. I immediately slip and fall what would be a real-world 75 stories onto the basement
Oh
floor.
my gosh.
The chat log announces, Andrew broke. Great job, a random player types. This article spurred a mini incursion. But that's not to say there couldn't be beauty in 2b2t as well. Two builders named 𝗏𝗏𝗏 and 𝗏𝗏𝗏 wanted to create the first Guardian farm on the server. Once they found a spot,
What is
they
a
met up with
scorpion farm?
some old base mates, Sicknessman and Daladev, and discussed what else they could build together.
Oh.
They planned out a tree monument named after the world tree from Norse mythology, Yggdrasil.
Yeah, I don't know what that Vice guy thought. It's like, this is a Anarchy server. He thought everyone's gonna be so nice to him.
And 𝗏𝗏 gathered and sorted the resources, while 𝗏𝗏 and Sicknessman built. When the tree was partially complete, it was struck by lightning and burnt down. To prevent this from happening in the future, 𝗏𝗏 made a world download of the area, used World Edit in a single-player world to create a perfect glass dome, and brought the schematic back to 2B2T. The only problem was, this would require 150,000 pieces of glass to do. The 4 base mates of Yggdrasil excavated an entire desert, built the dome, and finished the tree with an additional 8 custom biomes.
Oh my god, it's like the Sandy
This place
Cheeks dome.
is pretty phenomenal. Back in 2014, Pyrobyte and 𝗏𝗏 released a hacked client called Vapid, but stopped developing it. One of Tristan's friends named Clyde continued to update it, but added a backdoor. He typed a specific string of text in chat. Every user of the client privately messaged Clyde their coordinates. These chat messages were supposed to be hidden, but Clyde made an error in his coding. Because of that, if the cords were in the nether, they were fully visible to the person that sent them. Word quickly spread that Vapid was backdoored, and of course, no one used it after that point. During all this time, the 2B2T website was not functioning. Housemaster stated that the server didn't have enough money to keep it up, so he set a $250 donation goal. This took a great while to get to, but when it was finally reached, nothing happened. Some people think that money just went into other server costs, but even with the $250, House may have had enough money to host the website, but not design it. 𝗫𝗏𝗏 wasn't happy about this, especially because he was responsible for a fair percentage of that $250. With the help of 𝗏𝗏 and Clyde, he coded a website to give to House, and House set it up. 2B2T's website was back in business, and all was well. Not all was good for 𝗏𝗏 though, because his base was about to go down. A couple months before, 𝗏𝗏, who'd been living at 𝗫𝗏𝗡, was in a Skype chat with Jared 2013. Tristan shared the wrong screenshot with Jared, and that screenshot accidentally leaked the base's coordinates. The two of them were friends, so Jared didn't do anything with it. However, when they had a falling out, Jared used the screenshot to get to 𝗫𝗏𝗡.
Oh, that's
he pulled
messed up
and destroyed it. Least,
imagine having a
that's what
falling
everyone
out in
thought.
Minecraft.
Jared briefed the base, yes.
You took my block. No, it was my block.
But he later heard rumor that it wasn't destroyed.
Oh,
that it was in
follow
fact
Gold
fully
Nets.
intact,
Thank you so
concealed
much.
in a secret location. And this wasn't 2B2T's only odd occurrence at the time. In early 2016, strange things started happening across the server. Rumor grew of a shadow in the east.
Ew, what is that?
Whispers of a nameless fear. Illegal items appeared, like 32Ks, spawners, bedrock, and end portals. These were brushed off as remnants of Tristan and Pyro's backdoor from 2013, but things weren't adding up. Then an exploit emerged as well, the bed teleportation. This was powerful enough to allow you to travel millions of blocks in a single moment if you set it up correctly. Here's how it
that's
worked.
pretty cool.
If you slept in a bed and then placed another at those exact same coordinates and the same orientation in the nether, you'd respawn in the nether. So if your overworld bed was at 1000, you'd respawn in the bed at 1000.
Wait, but you can't put beds in the nether,
if you
they
then
explode,
went through a
right?
portal, you'd be at 8000 in the overworld. There, if you slept again, you'd respawn in the nether once more. As long as there was a chain of beds you could ride, your distance would increase 8 times every time you did it. Jack the Ripper, still at the lands, had a bed chain to get there, and he brought some friends. Jared 2013,
Oh, you can't sleep in the
learning
nether,
about
but I
this,
guess you can
became
wake up in it.
enraged and tried to get there
Interesting.
himself. Jack ordered the final link in the chain to be broken, and it was, stranding Jared millions of blocks away from Jack's base. But by sheer force of will, Jared and Taylor built another bed chain in secret. But once again, the final link was broken. And then the unthinkable happened. Out of nowhere, Pop Bob logged in at the final link and reconnected it. Jared finally had a path to the lands. He and 𝗬𝗏𝗦𝗠𝗔𝗡𝗦 arrived wielding 32k swords. The
Dude,
lands
those look so
didn't
cool.
stand a chance. This group, Tristan, Clyde,
Hi,
𝗬𝗏, and Jared, were named the Tyranny. Where
The
did these
Tyranny?
32Ks come from? James Russell's 𝗬𝗏𝗖𝗜𝗔𝗟𝗦 and 𝗏𝗏 went to investigate. They discovered some Minecraft region files on
Oh?
iTristan's GitHub page and extracted their coordinates. 𝗬𝗏𝗧 and Jack traveled to the location on 2B2T itself and found a massive illegal item stash full of 32Ks and other spawned-in items. The
Oh my
stash had
gosh.
clearly been brought onto the server with World Edit. There were even barrier blocks.
Barrier
Barriers
blocks,
were
what?
added to Minecraft long after the 2013 backdoor, so this was undeniable evidence of a new backdoor. Checkmate. Case closed.
Checkmate.
Backdoor exposed. Except
Checkmate.
maybe not.
Oh my god, checkmate. Case closed. Backdoor exposed. That was some fire bars right there.
Tristan claimed that he and Pyro created stashes of every item ID in the game. When the server updated versions, the IDs stayed the same, but now new items, like barriers, took their place. This was a valid argument, apart from one tiny pickle, something discovered by Yellowstone Joe. Yellowstone Joe also saw some region files, went to their location on the server, and uncovered the remnants of a world-edited stash. There weren't any items there, but the stash was in new chunks. Tristan could no longer deny he had admin access, and this is when the chaos truly began. No longer with anything to hide, the Tyranny held nothing back. They reduced 𝗬𝗏𝗧𝗏 to dust. They ravaged Space Valkyria too, then created an end portal out of thin air, exited to the overworld, only to go straight to King's Landing. The lands destroyed, KGB demolished, Space Valkyria 2 annihilated, King's Landing obliterated.
No!
This was the week of destruction. But not all was lost. While the lands were destroyed, Jack still had a huge item stash hidden away, the resources he could use to rebuild. A longtime friend of Jack's, the 𝗏𝗏𝗠𝗏, unexpectedly joined the server and messaged him. 𝗏𝗏𝗠𝗏 was asking
his
Jack
outfit.
where his stash
Isn't that
was,
guy from like
but something seemed
McDonald's or something?
off. Jack had a strange feeling he couldn't quite put his finger on. He went to Steam and messaged 𝗏𝗏𝗠𝗏 there. On Steam, Jack received a chilling reply. That is not me. The Tyranny could access people's accounts too? Players were terrified.
Wait, what?
The server was clearly compromised and no one was safe. The Tyranny itself occupied an enormous Bedrock sphere, which they called the Archive. The Archive stored every item in the game, its centerpiece being an illegally placed end portal. Jared took a screenshot of this, and that screenshot somehow went public. 𝗬𝗏𝗖𝗜𝗏𝗏 got his hands on it and posted it to the 2B2T subreddit, declaring, "Public service announcement. 2B2T is backdoored."
Yeah,
Knowing
no
2B2T
way.
was no longer Anarchy, people flocked to Constantium, another Anarchy server. Fit continued to play on 2B2T, which is when he took the infamous screenshot of his tab list, showing only one player online, himself. Months before, a Chinese database breached, leaking the usernames and passwords of millions of people. Supposedly, the George Bush 420 admin account's details were on this list, but that was just a cover-up. So what actually happened? Well, the website Tristan gave to Housemaster was laced with code that gave him backdoor access to the server. Code which Housemaster ran on the same server box which runs 2B2T. You'd think House would have wised up to Tristan's schemes by now, but remember, this wasn't the original House.
What I was saying was that's so messed up that if you join the server, then your Minecraft account can be compromised. Isn't that crazy?
House. This was the anonymous friend. Some claim that House was actually working with the Tyranny, but we can't know for sure.
No, thank
House
you.
removed the backdoor, but the damage was done. People didn't trust the server anymore. With the player base dwindling, Yellowstone Joe created a post on the r/Minecraft subreddit about the oldest Anarchy server in Minecraft. Someone
r/Minecraft.
influential
I
saw
love
that
Reddit.
post. A YouTuber with over 750,000 subscribers. His name? The Camping Rusher. June 1st, 2016. The day 2B2T changed forever.
This. Okay. Boom, boom.
On that date, the Camping Rusher uploaded a video about 2B2T titled The Oldest Server in Minecraft. 2B2T isn't actually the oldest server in Minecraft, just one of the oldest.
Oh.
Nevertheless, Rusher
I wonder what the
escaped
oldest one
spawn,
is.
found food, and explored the server's ruins. This captivated Rusher's audience, who had never seen anything like this before in Minecraft. In just over a week, 750,000 people had seen the video. And even if 1%
Oh my God,
of
he
those
went
viewers
viral.
tried 2B2T for themselves, well, that's way more players than the server could handle. In an instant, 2B2T went from averaging 5 to 20 players online to 250, the maximum capacity. Housemasters scrambled to get the server's hardware into a place where it could manage this huge amount of traffic and
Oh my
put 2B2T onto a temporary map while he did this. The old players returned to defend their server from these invaders. In Rusher's second episode of the series, he commented on this emerging conflict.
We're gonna have to band together here, and it's gonna be an all-out war, ladies and gentlemen. This is gonna be absolutely crazy.
𝗞𝗬𝗠𝗔𝗡𝗦 and Jared 2013
Minecraft war.
completely obliterated a Rusher base, killing 40 people.
That's
𝗞𝗬𝗠
so.
was made leader
That's
of
a
Team Veteran,
massacre.
the old players who sought to fight back against Rusher's fans. This brought tons of OG players back to the server, but many had trouble joining because of how many people were online. That's where the queue comes in. The queue is a system set up by Housemaster that holds people in a separate server and then sends them onto 2B2T one by one as slots open up. The
Oh.
only issue was there were so many people in queue that it might take an entire day just to join. The Camping
Wow,
Rusher
that's
wasn't too
crazy.
pleased with this since it was preventing him from making videos. So he reached out to House asking if he could get a whitelist. House said that wouldn't be fair, but instead came up with a new system, the Veteran Queue. This was a separate queue for players who logged in before Rusher uploaded his first video, so they could enter the
Oh,
server
that's so
faster.
smart.
Since Rusher obviously joined before he uploaded the video, he got Veteran Queue and all was well. Beyond this though, Rusher helped House implement the Priority Queue system, where anyone could pay $20 a month to get onto the server
Oh, that's
faster.
even smarter.
For a long
Yeah,
time, the queue
monetize it.
actually ran through Rusher's own server, the Archon. The revenue generated from this allowed House to invest more money into the server, purchase DDoS protection, hire developers, and buy more powerful hardware.
literally made a
to handle
Minecraft
the
fast
hundreds
pass.
of people at a time. Now that the server was stable, let's talk about war. The Camping Rushers fans were nicknamed Rushers, and they were everywhere. Team Veteran called for a new incursion, the fourth in the server's history. In an attempt to contain the Rushers at spawn, Team Veteran built a 500 by 500 lava wall. The Rushers fought back, and the lava wall was unsuccessful. After being on the run, the Camping Rusher himself started building a base. Team Veteran found it and destroyed it. They also tried to flood spawn,
Dang.
but this failed. But that's
These
when
people
they
are so
built
stubborn.
the trench. Basti VC designed TNT duping machines that could explode all the way down to Bedrock, creating a large barrier for the Rushers.
What?
Team Veteran also managed to destroy Nether spawn, but a new threat was emerging. The OG 2B players weren't as powerful as they thought.
It's a server
And part
full
of
of
this was because
psychopaths.
of a change that went unnoticed. Months before, Minecraft released the 1.9 combat update. Apart from adding shields, elytras, and
update.
changing attack speed, the 1.19 update nerfed protection. Back in the day, Protection 4 was so good, you could only kill people if their armor broke. But after 1.9,
Whoa.
people in maxed out god gear could die. And that's not to mention the explosives. A new form of combat emerged, crystal PvP and bed bombing. Trying to sleep in a bed in the nether explodes it, as does punching an end crystal. And these explosions can take out anyone in a single
Ooh.
boom. But what made it worse, as 𝗏𝗚𝗏𝗏 described, is the veterans would respawn at their bases, but the rushers respawned at spawn. So
No.
they got all of that sweet god gear. And that's when Team Veteran took a huge blow. The 2B2T monument that had stood for years, respected by all, even Pop Bob, was destroyed. The Valley of Wheat was in ruins, and the camping rusher was blamed. But actually, a new group was responsible, the Resistance. The Resistance was
The
an organized
Resistance!
operation set against Team Veteran, but Team Veteran wasn't going to go down that easily. They sent a spy to infiltrate the Resistance and feed the locations of their bases and stashes. This
Oh
knocked
my
the
gosh, a
Resistance down.
spy?
Still, Team Veteran wasn't the only one being sneaky.
Whoa,
Someone
that
gave
guy's
the
skin
camping
is
rusher
cool.
the location of Aurea City. How? Well, someone pretended to be an e-girl to swoon one of its inhabitants. That Aurea City member brought the fake e-girl to the base, and when that
Fake
happened,
e-girl?
it was game over. Kane's Law, Fit, and
Should've seen
Yellowstone
it
Joe
coming.
self-destructed. On August 5th, Fit and the camping rusher met in Dark Souls Castle for a duel. After
Dark
fighting
Souls
long
Castle?
and hard,
That's
Fit
sick.
emerged victorious. But this wasn't the end of the war. A few weeks later, the veterans faced the rushers and resistance
chat
for the
blurred
final
out?
battle of the war, the largest in 2B2T history. Halfway through, the resistance betrayed the rushers and switched sides. The battle turned into complete chaos and carnage. Some
Yeah, oh
estimate
my
Team
gosh.
Veteran got over 10,000 kills
Probably
on the rushers,
slurs.
but the war ended
Truce?
in a
Truce?
stalemate. It had been dragging on for several months, and people got bored. Fit has been
Yeah, I would be
accused
pretty
of
bored
orchestrating
too.
the conflict with Rusher for the mutual growth of their channels, almost like a live-action roleplay. If these accusations are true, then it worked, because Fit rocketed to hundreds of thousands of subscribers. Reflecting on the Rusher massacre
What the
video
heck?
he made,
He's
Fit
bald.
said,
You've got this grown man with a deep voice that's taking a Minecraft
Bald.
server this seriously.
Bald.
He's killing all these people. He's just swearing
Bald.
like a sailor. He just does not care at all. There was something about that like drew people to the videos.
with so many more players now on 2B2T, people were bound to discover some wild things. Before that though, remember when I said Brad Pitt refers to a certain historical German leader? I'll use
Yeah.
the term pinwheel to refer to the symbol that leader liked to use.
Oh,
One
no.
Rusher named 𝗏𝗏𝗖𝗓 made a post on the subreddit saying a friend of his found a peculiar base. When Sage himself visited, he discovered an area filled with pinwheels,
Oh,
farms, and holes
no.
down to bedrock. The base itself was named Brad Pittville, and its owner, none other than George Bush 420, one of Housemaster's
Completely
admin
blurred
accounts.
out.
Sage walked around and eventually logged off. When he logged on the next day, the base was gone. He
Good.
said it was as if someone had used World Edit or turned back time. Rumors spread that
Ahaha.
the base
He
wasn't
deserved
deleted.
that.
It was moved.
No,
but
I've
what
never
really
played
happened to this
2v2T.
base wouldn't get discovered for another 3 years. During the Rusher War, Jared 2013, Willy Roof, and Offtopia were using a minecart dupe to supply the war effort. Willy Roof saw a Reddit post of an illustration someone had drawn and wanted to recreate it
Whoa,
on 2b2t.
wait, that would be
Using
so
materials
sick.
from the dupe,
They
Willy
did
Roof and
it!
Offtopia transported their stash to an ocean and drained a large area over the next month. When that was done, they used TNT fly machines to mine the area down to bedrock. Other players soon joined the build, including Neda T and Jack the Ripper. One
That's so
Nether
sick.
explorer named Burnsy found the tunnel they were using.
Pig.
Since he was chill, they invited him
A
to the
pig
base
with a
as
wig.
well. This base was named The Drain, and Offtopia made a video touring it. But in doing so,
that is
Offtopia
so
made
cool.
a critical error that doomed the base to destruction.
Oh no.
He showed bedrock.
Oh no.
This was an error that Fit himself made while showing off his Fitlantis base. An exploiter named Chrome Crusher discovered that bedrock spawns in the exact same pattern in every single world seed. Because of this, you can reverse engineer the coordinates of any bedrock pattern with
No,
ease.
someone
Chrome
with
Crusher
way
did
too much
this
time on
to
their
find
hands.
Fitlantis.
Found it
As
out.
the exploit became more public, Fit saw the bedrock pattern of the drain in Offtopia's video and went to tour it. With the added attention the base got,
Okay, that's insane. He looked at the pattern of the bedrock and reverse engineered it to find out where this place was. Like, I wonder how many patterns he had to go through. That's crazy.
the drain was abandoned by its builders before the Fourth Reich griefing group destroyed it. As I mentioned, Aurea City was demolished during the Russia War. Now homeless, 𝗞𝗬𝗠𝗦 returned to the location of a dupe stash he created years before. There, he excavated a staircase down to bedrock and hid the duped items deep in the earth. Underground, he burrowed a large chamber and built a tree at the center. He called this base 𝗤𝗬𝗠𝗦, and 15 people contributed to it.
Wait, this
Around
is such
this
a
time,
cool
the
base.
players Tashi and Vaxent founded a base called 𝗏𝗏𝗠𝗏. They invited a bunch of people to it and got an insane advantage when one member, Mr. Chocho, discovered a new duplication glitch. He found if you toss items from your inventory the moment you disconnected, one copy would be in your inventory and another on the ground when you rejoined the server. In November 2016, that dupe went public. It was a little tedious to pull off, so 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 and 𝗏𝗏𝗏 released a client that simplified the dupe and let players copy an entire inventory at a time. Of course, the client was backdoored, which gave 𝗏𝗏𝗏 and 𝗏𝗏𝗏 tons of people's
Of course
coins.
they put
And
a
by
backdoor
tons,
in
I
it.
mean close to 11,000. Rather than raid and grief people themselves, 𝗏𝗏𝗏 and 𝗏𝗏𝗏 released those 11,000 coordinates publicly. Because it happened on November 11th, this dupe was named the 1111 dupe. Jack the Ripper and his friend
9/11
Alpha
dupe.
Computer used the dupe in the end while preparing for a new massive project.
The
Later
drawing
that
is
month,
so funny.
a player
Looks like
called
a kid's
Slappin'
drawing.
Bad Kids, bro, what are these names, man? Announced the 5th incursion. At that point, Jared 2013 promptly took over. Why have an incursion? I honestly couldn't tell you. In association with the Fourth Reich, the incursion set the goals of removing all water and lava casts from spawn, leveling it to the ground, and building an obsidian wall around it. They failed, and the incursion didn't go anywhere. A couple new groups cropped up around now. The first being the Imperium, started by the Dark Emperor and dedicated to building. They began with a base called Arrowhead. Meanwhile,
Oh, I
the
like
Nether
Arrowhead. It
explorer
looks like Star
Burnsy
Wars.
made a post on the 2b2t subreddit announcing an ambitious project. He was going to journey to the Minecraft world border 30 million blocks out to the Nether.
Okay, 30
Tons of
million,
people
that's
were
so
interested in this,
ridiculous.
and they joined to form the Nether Highway Expedition Group to travel the millions of blocks to get to the world border.
Oh, that's
This
so
is
cool,
one of the
actually.
final big events of 2016, a year full of war and conflict. But it wasn't all that. Someone named Negative Entropy, with holiday spirit, built a Christmas tree in the middle of spawn.
Aww.
Of course, spawn was a mess, and for some reason, a couple people wanted to flood it. Negative Entropy joined the project of Flip35, Sheer Genius, Slavs, and Strong Force to flood spawn with a 1000 by 1000 water cube. Oh yeah, and I have to mention, another group that showed up in the latter end of 2016 was Dawnfir. Dawnfir had existed since 2013, but only on other servers. One member, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, joined 2b2t and convinced his friend Deloaded to come too. In early 2017, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 saw an opportunity to take over the Vortex Coalition, the group created by 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 to oppose Valkyria. 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 was high up in the Voco ranks and had a power no one else did. He ran the Voco website. 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 came up with a plan. Build a Dawnfir base, get all the Voco members to pull up, and then take it over. With Voco, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 and Deloaded built the 10th city of Dawnfir. Dawnfir 10 was a large medieval base that impressed the members of Voco. Once this was done, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 changed the Vortex Coalition website to advertise for Dawnfir. 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 was understandably furious, so he leaked the location of Dawnfir 10. Despite being hundreds of thousands
so
of
much
blocks
drama.
away from spawn,
They built a
Bubba
website
J
just to
arrived
do
within
this?
half an hour to destroy it. The reason he got there so quickly was because he flew under the nether floor with an elytra. Even though Dawnfir 10 was gone, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 had access to the cords of Voco's leadership bases, so he destroyed every single one.
That's
the Vortex
crazy.
Coalition collapsed and Dawnfir rose from its ashes. All of these bases get destroyed
They just
weeks,
took over a whole
months,
freaking
sometimes
city.
years, but the outcome is always the same. But what if there was a base where that was the idea to begin with? After the Voco drama went down, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 founded a base just a couple thousand blocks from spawn. He invited tons of people to it and posted the coordinates publicly on his YouTube channel. They built, but it took several days for the first grief to occur. After that, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 and the dozens of builders repaired or built anew.
Wait, you're joking? Evanescence is performing at the Game Awards? No freaking way.
When that stuff was destroyed, they kept building. From the rubble, they'd build some more, in craters, lava casts, with the cycle repeating. And it was a major cultural moment on the server. The world-famous spawn base ended up being the precursor to a group that would become a massive deal later down the line. That being the Skymasons.
No, not the.
Speaking of spawn activities,
That's
another
like the
group
other
popped
Masons.
up in February 2017 called Highland. Started by the
Highland.
Grand Lotus and 𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏, Highlanders focused less on building and more on hanging out. They often went to spawn to trap people. Far from spawn though, over the endless void, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 began his biggest project yet. Space Valkyria 3. With the spoils
Oh,
of the
I love the
1111
space
Dupe,
stuff. I
Jack
feel like I
started
don't see that
construction
enough.
of a gargantuan space station of quartz and purple stained glass, with reconstructions of different biomes, farms,
That is
and a
so
meadow
cool.
at the top, all centered around an end gateway. The saga of Space Valkyria 3 would continue for years, and it's honestly one of the craziest stories 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 has to offer, but I'm getting ahead of myself. In late February, the community was enraged. The reason why is because 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 and his friend made a map
Anime!
of an anime girl. That wasn't what was enraging though. What was enraging is
I love
𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 loaded
anime.
32,767 new maps, which reset every other map on the server. People were
Oh my
really mad about
gosh.
this, but it's Anarchy, bro. What can you do? I guess 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 was busy though, because he discovered a duplication glitch with his friend Mason 2 weeks later. He found when he sent a donkey on half a heart through a nether portal to die by a cactus on the other side, more items would spit out than were sent in. This dupe was incredibly powerful, because it was the
Whoa!
first duplication glitch that occurred since
That
Shulkers came out.
donkey, what happened
Knowing
to
it was
it?
only a matter of time before everyone found out about the dupe, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏
Yeah,
and
maybe we
Mason
could do Game
leaked it
Awards.
to YouTube. It was patched 3 days later. 3 days after that, some massive drama went down at 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. In the previous couple months, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 had expanded to become something magnificent. But when the base was complete, people got bored. Then, one member leaked the coordinates. And then the 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 found out that the Fourth Reich was coming to destroy it. They couldn't stave off the inevitable,
No!
but they sure could delay
There's
it.
so many leakers. Leaking all over the place. That's so sad. Imagine putting like hundreds of hours into your Minecraft world and someone just blows it up.
𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 was annihilated,
feel so
and the fledgling
bad.
Spawn Mason group had a problem. 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏's
Imagine
founder,
getting
Toshi,
attacked by
was part of
Nazis
the
in
Masons,
Minecraft.
as were some of the Fourth Reich griefers who destroyed their base. The Masons deliberated and concluded with a rule: you cannot harm another member. This would really get spicy with the drama that occurred
Ooh,
later on at
spicy.
Toshi and Vaxen's next base, Summermelon. Meanwhile, frickin' 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 and Ox22 learned that typing /kill while riding a pig
Oh.
in the nether obliterated the server. It would simply crash. So frickin' crashed the
What?
server over and over and over. It got so bad that Housemaster had to disable /kill for a whole week. During all that crashing though,
Dang.
𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 Highway Expedition Group, or the Positive X Diggers, made it to the Positive X world border. There, they discovered something
Oh, they have a
strange.
world
Outside
border.
the world border was a platform of bedrock with 2 signs. One, signed by 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, it's the end of the world. The other, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 was here. If you see this, went down. Dated December
Ooh.
7th, 2013. There, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 Tristann hit a stash of the book whose
Oh my-
title sounds like Minecraft, written by Brad Pitt. At the border, the
Minecraft sounds like Minecraft written by Brad Pitt is such a freaking funny. That is so goofy.
group created a base named Point Nemo, after the point on Earth that is furthest from any land. Even though it was far, everyone knew where Point Nemo was. X30000000. 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 and his friend Chunker flew under the nether floor with elytras and destroyed Point Nemo within a week. Not dissuaded in the
No, not
slightest,
Point
the group
Nemo.
moved a couple 100,000 blocks away, still by the world
Whoa,
border,
that's a giant
and started at
statue.
Point Dory. Point Dory grew to be one of the largest bases in server history. both in size and in number of people contributing to it. It lasted about 2 months before internal drama occurred. One of the Nether Highway Expedition group members was doing some sus stuff, so he got kicked and leaked the cords. With the cords public, 𝗬𝗏𝗖𝗜𝗦 and Nordic93 pulled up. The Highway group actually managed to kill 𝗬𝗏𝗖𝗜𝗦 and send him 30 million blocks back to spawn.
Oh my
But
gosh.
Nordic93 combat logged and rejoined when everyone was offline to destroy the base. Soon after this, a bunch of people including 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏, Immortal Yogurt 1_7 and Jared2013 launched the Make Spawn Dry Again
Oh my
movement
gosh.
to drain the spawn water cube.
Make
In
spawn
June,
dry
to celebrate
again
the
is
year
so funny.
anniversary of Russia's invasion, 2B2T players flooded the server with lag machines, explosions, and edgy internet humor.
Wait,
Not long after that,
why?
the Spawn Masons and the Peacekeepers got into a conflict. The Peacekeepers killed a bunch of Spawn Masons, and then, for the next 6 months, the Masons destroyed literally every single one of their bases the day they were created. During all this,
Jesus
the Nether
Christ.
Highway Expedition group was somehow still mining through Netherrack because they reached the +Z world border. That July, Housemaster brought the server onto a temporary map to prepare for the new 1.12 World of Color update. When the update was ready for
nice.
2B2T, House also patched player heads, pig spawners, and enchanted glass. In the process, he also accidentally deleted sharpness off axes, efficiency from shears, and all
No.
dungeon spawners. Some people were angry about this, but 𝗞𝗬𝗠𝗦 got his revenge by leaking the crafting dupe.
Yeah,
For some reason,
I'm so impressed by the Housemaster to keep up with all of this stuff. This has been so many different changes. I guess one of them left and then the other one took over, but still.
if you spammed the crafting recipe while dropping items, the item you dropped would turn into a stack of 64 when it was picked back up. This even worked with items that are normally unstackable, like swords, armor, and totems of undying.
Oh no way!
The
I
dupe
wish those
lasted
were
8
stackable. That'd be
hours,
so nice.
but the damage was done. When Wintermelon was destroyed, Tashi, Vaxent, and most of that group pulled up to Summermelon, with some notable additions, the most significant being Crowbar01. Crowbar had been invited to Wintermelon, but declined because he was, at the time, working on a solo build, following 𝗏𝗏𝗖𝗜𝗦.
The
Pretty wild,
villain.
right?
Is that
Once
Dr.
he finished,
Doom?
he joined Summermelon. Summermelon very quickly grew to be quite large, but things came crashing down when Fit got the base's coordinates. Fit claimed that a member of Summermelon had leaked the cords of his own base, Rocket Town, so he and Alpha Computer arrived at Summermelon to destroy it. This sparked some
No
major
way.
controversy, because Summermelon was in no way responsible for Fit's base getting leaked. Some claim Fit just griefed Summermelon for views, or because he had beef with one
For
of the members.
views?
I can't
Griefing for
confirm
views
why
is
he did
so
what
funny.
He did, but it caused huge
Minecraft
drama.
drama?
The reason why is because by this point in time, the Spawn Masons had grown insanely. They had weekly initiations of all kinds of players. For example, a single night's initiation included Fit, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, and Jared2013. Both Fit and Alpha Computer were in the Masons, but so were a bunch of Summermelon members. And after
Dang.
Wintermelon, the Masons had made a rule that you cannot harm another member. There were constant arguments about this incident that got so bad that Hermetic Lock shut down the group entirely. However,
Yeah, I see
Fit
there's
destroying
so many
Summermelon
edgy
might have been a
names.
blessing in disguise, because out of the ashes rose the greatest base in 2B2T history, with the 9 members of Summermelon homeless and the Nether
Yeah, I
Highway
should start
Expedition
griefing for
group
views, you're
unemployed
right.
after reaching the world border. There were now
be down
a
for
couple
that.
dozen remarkable
yeah.
players who didn't have anything to do. That's when Willy Roof and Offtopia had an idea. What would happen if they combined forces? The two of them convinced the groups to embark on a new project inspired by the lost continent, Mu. People were in. So they made a plan. A centerpiece mountain, bridges in the middle of a large basin,
Whoa.
millions upon millions of blocks from spawn. They got to work. This was by far the most ambitious project the server had ever seen. But
That's
they
so
had
cool.
a secret advantage. Mining Minecraft and 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, 2 members of the Highway group, discovered the most powerful duplication glitch in 2B2T history,
Ooh.
the chunk dupe.
Chunk
Minecraft
dupe?
chunks can only hold so much information, So if you
Yeah.
fill written books with a bunch of garbage data in such a
Ooh.
way that exceeds the 2.2 megabyte limit, the chunk will be unable to save. If the chunk can't save, any changes made to it will be reverted, including items moved out of chests. In order to keep the dupe private, only a select few members knew it, but builders could
Oh.
request the items they needed with an organized spreadsheet. To make the basin,
Big chunkus.
the builders used TNT bombers to excavate nearly 50 million blocks. From the blueprint to Minecraft, Tashi designed the central mountain, which took 2 months to create. The base was so large, they needed their own nether hub just to get around.
No
Drud14
way.
built a large swamp and Greek area that housed a giant nether portal. Scribblefox populated the basin with villages and a mesa biome. Air and Alvin created the cathedral of the melon goddess. Eventually,
The
the
melon
chunk dupe
goddess?
went public, and Thieves and
I
Sound was
wonder what
able
they
to
mean
put
by
his
that.
full brain power towards making it efficient. He created a system so powerful, it could duplicate close to 64,000 items a second. Thebes used this to fill Stash 3, which had 10 double chests of shulkers of every item in the game. Whenever
What?
someone visited Stash 3,
What do you even
it would
need that
cause
for?
major server lag. Since it was hurting the server's performance, Housemaster had to remove it. He showed up to do this, and the Moo crew asked
Duh?
him if he wanted to join
Scientist?
and build with them. House said yes.
Ah.
As it turns out, the 2B2T data center is actually at Mew. Look at this thing. Just look at it. At this
For
point,
fun?
this isn't even
Yeah.
Minecraft. And to think this is on a survival Anarchy server of all places. Moo's story doesn't end there though, but I did just tell several years of history in a couple minutes. Let's
Yeah,
back
this
up
is
so the rest
so
of the
much
server has a
history.
chance of catching up. In August of 2017, the player Grindlord flew under the nether roof to get to the -Z world border. Just a few days later, Housemaster patched this. It seems everyone was trying to get to a world border of some kind, because Armorsmith reached the end world border a little less than 2 weeks later. He
Oh.
wasn't the only one to get to the end border corner though. The YouTuber Barondome arrived just a few hours after Armorsmith. Rather than focus on huge griefs or major server events, Barondome chose to look at the more laid-back side of 2B2T, the quirks that make it unique. On the topic of chill, laid-back individuals, let's talk about Armorsmith. Just kidding. Armorsmith was neither chill nor laid-back. He had come to 2B2T with a mission. He joined the server with the single-minded purpose of trolling as many people as possible. Soon after he got to the end world border corner, he declared himself a god of the server and created a cult of personality called Armorsmith's followers. Over the next few months, they built a lag machine that brought 2B2T's TPS to 0.5. They also griefed the old spawn road and built a titanic obsidian structure called the Wrath of Armorsmith at the start. Generally though, the way to get recognition on 2B2T is to build rather than destroy. That's how the artist Crowbar earned his reputation. I don't use the term artist lightly. In August of 2017, Crowbar began the mother of all keeps, a sandstone castle in the middle of an area he blew up down to bedrock.
That is such a
If you
pretty
don't
castle.
think Crowbar is an artist now, just wait until we get to some of his later builds. In September, the 2B2T player base had a big scare when a bunch of Spanish players joined
What?
because the YouTuber 𝗞𝗬𝗠𝗔𝗟𝗦 made a video on el servidor más violento y antiguo de Minecraft. Elrich had close
The
to
most
1 million
old and
subscribers
violent
and said he'd make a
server.
2B2T series if the video got 250k views. This could turn into a Russia War 2.0, and that seemed likely because the video got 300,000 views pretty fast. However, Elrich didn't end up making the series because of the server's toxicity. Halfway through September, a bunch of people completed Project Obsidian Sky, which covered a
Aw.
500 by 500 area with
Why do they do that?
250,000 blocks of obsidian. And
That's
toward the
gotta
end of
look
the
so
month,
freaky from the
Housemaster made
top.
2 changes that really angered the 2B2T player base. First, he disabled elytras. People were loading too many new chunks, lagging the server, and increasing the data storage the server needs to run. Fair enough, but elytras wouldn't return for close to 2 years. That was pretty bad, but House poured fuel on the fire when he removed Veteran Q. There's a couple potential reasons for this. The cynical take is House wanted the extra priority Q money. Or it's possible that the queues were low enough as is that veteran queue was no longer needed. On top of that, there was the genuine issue of people selling their veteran queue accounts for hundreds of dollars. Whatever the reason, veteran queue was gone, so the veterans were not happy.
Yeah, what?
By now,
Then
2
you
nether
could
highways
sell
were
your
built,
veteran
going to the
queue
positive
account
X and positive
so
Z
funny.
world borders. In early November, a player named 𝗏𝗏𝗠𝗔𝗟𝗦 made a post looking for people to dig the negative X highway. So they joined together in the negative X diggers team. If you walked all the way to negative 850,000 blocks, you got an invite to their private Discord.
Oh,
they
nice.
built monuments every 100,000 blocks in the nether and million blocks in the overworld. They finished the tunnel on December 22nd and built a Christmas-themed base at the world border to celebrate.
That's
A little
epic.
bit earlier in the month, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 started flaming the Dark Emperor, the leader of Imperium. 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 had surprisingly revived the Vortex Coalition after Dawnfir's coup, and grew it to be one of the biggest groups on the server, right up there with Imperium. Voco declared war against Imperium, launching the Voperium War. As 2b2t
Not
wars
the
usually go, they
Voperium
fought
War.
and griefed
They
each
put
other's
these
bases,
bedrock
and then things
crosses
calmed
everywhere.
down.
It's so messed
When
up.
𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏
What happens
was
if you?
finished, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏
What
and
happens if you
𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏
accidentally put it in
decided
the
it
wrong
was time to
place?
give 2b2t a break. 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 and 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 kept playing, but how could they possibly top 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏? Well, let's approach this one problem at a time. The first thing a base needs
Oh,
is a
the
location,
dome.
so they scouted around. When they found an ice spike biome, they built an ice farm, and then got to work. Continuing
What
to
if
be
you built it
inspired by
wrong?
Norse mythology,
Yeah.
𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 named this 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, the realm of ice and cold.
Niflheim.
Reminiscent of
That's
𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏,
really cute.
𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 built a huge ice tree. He and 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏
Ice
bombed
tree is
out
so
a massive
dope.
area, created a deep ice lake, and then constructed a Norse building worthy of kings. The base seemed empty with just the ice trees and buildings, so 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 went back to the drawing board. In a creative mode world, he built a gargantuan ice dragon, but it
Not the
didn't look right,
gargantuan
so he tried again,
dragon.
and again. After multiple iterations, he finally
Whoa.
created something he was proud of.
That
he
is
then brought that to
gorgeous.
2b2t. Many bases like these get griefed
Hi,
because
Leo.
of conflict between the builders, but that's not how 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 operates. Niflheim wouldn't
That
get
is
destroyed
actually
because
so
of internal
pretty.
conflict, but something far more powerful.
What?
The year is now 2018, and whoa, we have more block game faction drama. In the early part of the year, the Imperium launched the United Group Embassy, or UGE. The UGE was made to increase cooperation between groups, and 15 of them joined. That accounted for over 200 players. One group, called 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, was enemies with the Imperium, so they joined the UGE with the intention of sabotaging. Because the United Group Embassy was founded on the principles of unity, Imperium turned the other cheek and allowed them into the group. But once they were in, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 griefed the UGE's base, which was a blow to Imperium. Unfortunately for 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, Imperium was once again their enemy. Far worse than that though,
No!
𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 just made enemies of more than a dozen other groups. Needless to say, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 did not last long after this. In early April, the 2b2t community prepared for another invasion. @Venom, who is sitting at over 2.5 million subscribers, announced he would be
@Venom?
releasing a video about 2b2t. Immediately, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 called for the 6th incursion. He shared a link to a Discord server which spread across the community. At this point, 2b2t's queue was between 30 and 50 players, but @Venom's video could drastically change that. On April 3rd, he uploaded the video,
no.
The Face of Minecraft Anarchy.
Oh
Venom's
no,
fans,
how many views did
creatively
it get?
named Ants, instantly flooded the server, and queue jumped to over 300 long. 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 Jared 2013 came up with the idea of building a humongous obsidian wall, 1,000 blocks around spawn, from Bedrock to height limit. 𝗞𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 more than 1.6 million obsidian.
Okay,
a
that's
shulker
ridiculous.
holds 1,728 obsidian, but
But they
because
have the
ender chests
duplication
can be
dupes.
broken for 8 obsidian each, a shulker
Yeah.
of ender chests is equivalent to almost 14,000 obsidian. However, they have to be mined, which is incredibly tedious.
We
Yeah,
were
that's
not
really
able to produce
tedious.
obsidian fast enough to get the wall done in time. So that's when a stroke of genius came from the incursion.
So,
how do they figure this
For the
out?
first time ever in 2B2T history,
slave labor was used to accomplish a community project.
What?
Ants were forced to mine
Bro,
ender chests or
that's
face
so
immediate
ass.
execution. If they completed 3 hours of labor, they were granted their freedom and rewarded with gear. The Incursion had PvPers patrolling, killing
Oh
any
my
ants who tried to escape.
This
Apart from the
server
ants
is so
themselves, the
evil.
Incursion faced resistance. This mainly came from the cult of Armorsmith's followers, who established the anti-incursion movement. Armorsmith himself placed a bunch of withers and attacked Fit while Fit was trying to repair the wall. This resulted in the famous clip,
Oh, my helmet's down. I got a log, guys.
even though the wall wasn't
Oh
the
my
most effective
gosh.
thing
You're
to stop
surprised
new
it
players
took this
escaping
long?
spawn, the Incursion was still a success because it united everyone
Yeah.
around a single project. The next month, Fit released a video, The Day
Jeez.
𝗞𝗬𝗠𝗔𝗡𝗜 almost died, where he revealed his perspective of what occurred during the third backdoor in 2015. While more facts of the story have come out since Fit made that video, it's still, in my personal opinion, a masterclass in tension and storytelling. Fit said that after Antvenom joined the server, he taught Fit how to actually make YouTube videos, and that's when
Oh,
Fit got
wow.
on the 𝗞𝗬𝗠𝗔𝗡𝗜 documentary grind. His channel started to pop off.
Oh,
because
so
of
this is how
content.
this guy got
With the community
popular.
still
Fit
reeling from the
MC,
ant
the bald
invasion,
one?
the OG Minecraft YouTuber Popular MMOs was spotted on the server. He was given gear by an unknown player, then killed with an end crystal in Nether spawn. The
Oh my
𝗞𝗬𝗠𝗔𝗡𝗜
gosh.
player base breathed a sigh of relief when he stated he had no plans on making a video about the server. On May 1st, Jared 2013 griefed a base. On May 2nd,
No.
Jared griefed another base. On May 3rd, he griefed a third base.
It
and
took
this
them 8
continued,
years to
with
start
him destroying
slavery.
a new
That's
base
crazy.
every single day of May.
This.
That's an astounding feat. Players were
It is a
bewildered
giant
as to
total
how he
drama
was finding
island.
all these coordinates. Clearly he had an exploit of some kind. But what? Rumors spread that he was
I think the best
exploiting
part
map
is
art.
like
So the
the people on that server could be like 12 years old or they could be 40 years old. Like and you have to try to like get along. I think a lot of the griefers must be kids cuz I feel like they just don't care. But if you're like an adult and you're like building stuff and you see stuff, you like appreciate things more and you don't want to like hurt it. So you just get like a bunch of 13, 15-year-olds just like joining and killing everything. Writing like Brad Pitt symbols and pinwheels.
map artists of 𝗞𝗬𝗠𝗜 pulled a Kinorana and reset all the maps. It's possible Jared had access to the new Chunk Trails module, a feature in hacked
Twix.
clients
Yellow.
allowing you to see which chunks were newly loaded. Following
Dude,
these
no, Shiny, you have a point. I was thinking that too. The amount of effort that these people have like gone through for this server, it makes me wonder where that effort could have gone if they applied it to something like beneficial to society. Like they could have put it in like cancer research, or like they could have gotten like really buff, like really fit. They could have built like some sort of cool business. Well, I guess the Minecraft YouTubers, they were like making their own business out of it, so like I respect them for it. But the other guys that were just there to like be God, play God, is so funny. I think most of the griefers have 20 to 30 years.
can sometimes lead to a base. Jared himself later stated that he got a lot of bases from people simply leaking coordinates, and the rest he got using natural terrain.
Maybe it's
Because
like
𝗞𝗬𝗠𝗜
maybe it's like a, what is it called, where it's very cathartic. You have a bad day at work and you come home and then you just grief everybody and you're like like maybe it's something like that for them. Age range could be from 9 to 50 easily. Oh yeah.
world seed is public, you can actually reverse engineer the coordinates of natural terrain in a very
When everybody wants to be the Joker.
similar way to the way you can do with Bedrock. Looking at the natural terrain shown in screenshots and videos, Jared was able to locate his next target. Locating them is the hard part,
You live in a
but
Minecraft
getting
society.
there isn't the easiest thing either. Jared had to travel hundreds of thousands of
Okay,
blocks to
boat
get to
glitch?
these places, but he may have been using a recently discovered boatfly exploit.
No way! Yellow. Yellow! Thank you so much for the tier 1 sub. Wait, did you Did you tier 1 sub for
Yellow.
3 months? Is that what that means? Thank you so much!
go.
Wait, you subscribed 3 months in advance. Thank you! Mwah. Thank you, I really appreciate it.
Exploit, where boats allowed players to travel thousands of blocks a second. At the end of May and early June, some huge server drama occurred with 2 major bases, 𝗤𝗤𝗓𝗏 and block game Mecha. In the years since
𝗤𝗤𝗓𝗏.
𝗏𝗏𝗏 founded 𝗤𝗤𝗓𝗏, it had grown tremendously. It now housed a large amount of rare, illegal, and one-of-a-kind items. For example, rare books written by different people. One member, Alpha Computer, jokingly added to that collection with a book he titled, "I'm Gay." Alpha was just
Wait,
one
he
of the
came out in
15
Minecraft?
𝗤𝗤𝗓𝗏 members, and take
He's
a
gay.
look at what they did. If you notice, there's Bedrock openly visible. One screenshot of this, and the base would be gone. But that's the thing.
Chat is moving so
𝗤𝗤𝗓𝗏 was
fast they won't
considered
see
the
that I'm
most
gay.
hidden base on the server because the members had a rule: no videos and no screenshots. Even with that though, 𝗤𝗤𝗓𝗏 had a major flaw. It was just 8,000 blocks from the axis. All someone needed to do, traveling the -Z highway, was take a quick turn, and boom, they'd find it. That's why it wasn't surprising.
But what
when
are
it
the
got
odds
raided
someone
and
does
griefed
that?
at the end of May. The same thing happened to Block Game Mecha on June 1st, a base started by 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 Mecha, or BGM, was magnificent in its own right. The base had multiple mega structures, like this cathedral.
There's like a ghost
BGM was
card.
starting
It's so
to
weird.
stagnate a little bit, so they invited a couple new people. Dr. Zombie, 𝗫𝗬𝗠, and 𝗬𝗬𝗓. Dr. Zombie may be the most
Hi, Derby.
trusted person to ever play
Dr.
2B2T.
Zombie!
𝗫𝗬𝗠, a curator of the 2B2T museum server, and 𝗬𝗬𝗓,
There's a
a
museum?
well-respected player who joined 2B2T all the way back in 2012. Each of these people had fantastic reputations. Right after these new members joined, Block Game Mecha was griefed. This was terrible for every member of the base, but even worse for 𝗫𝗫𝗠, who was also a part of 𝗫𝗫𝗠. So first he loses all his progress at 𝗫𝗫𝗠, and the moment he gets invited somewhere for another chance, that's gone too. Luckily though, 𝗫𝗫𝗠 was diligent in his duties to the 2B2T museum and had taken a world download of the base hours before it was in ruin. With no one to blame for the Block Game Mecha grief, people started pointing fingers. 𝗫𝗫𝗠 was a suspect because he'd been part of both bases, but that didn't seem likely.
It's your fault.
The BGM
Wait, okay,
member,
so
Joey
𝗫𝗫𝗠 is
Coconut,
dressed
made
like
a Reddit
bad
post saying,
Brad Pitt?
𝗫𝗫𝗠 did 6
Oh. But his fate,
suspect because he'd been part of both bases,
yeah,
but
he's
that didn't
dressed
seem
like
likely.
quote-unquote
Nonetheless,
Brad
the
Pitt.
BGM member Joey Coconut
Big
made a
fan of
Reddit post saying
pinwheels.
𝗫𝗫𝗠 did 6-1. 𝗫𝗫𝗠 denied these accusations, and most people believed him, which is good because you wouldn't want to slander someone for a crime they didn't commit. A couple days later, a griefer named �LifeIsGood72 said he was
here comes the
responsible for
Reddit.
BGM's destruction. This would make sense. Just because two bases were destroyed around the same time doesn't mean they're linked. So �LifeIsGood took out BGM, and what's most likely is a random base hunter stumbled upon 𝗫𝗫𝗠. Case closed. But not everyone felt alright with that story. A couple people kept investigating.
Not the Pepe Frog.
On the museum server, Slappin' Bad Kids and Alpha Computer managed to get admin permissions from Hermetic Lock. They wanted to take a look at the Block Game Mecha world download. This is like going into the police headquarters to search through their evidence stores yourself. These 2B2T players are ruthless. When going through chests, Slappin' found a book signed by Alpha Computer. Its title? I'm Gay. Because classic 2B2T humor, Slappin' thought it was hilarious and showed it to Alpha, who wasn't so pleased. Not because his meme book got
monkey!
read, but because he'd only ever made one copy, and that copy was stored at 𝗫𝗫𝗠.
No!
Alpha immediately went to
He
𝗫𝗠
stole
to
his
ask if
gay.
he'd found the book in 𝗫𝗫𝗠's rubble, but 𝗫𝗠 didn't. That can mean only one thing. The griefs of Block Game Mecha and 𝗫𝗫𝗠 were connected, and they were done by the same person. And who is the one person with access to both bases? 𝗫𝗫𝗠. If he were innocent,
The
Beardler's
Beardler,
Minecraft log
Brad
files
Pitt.
would have exonerated him, but he refused to share them. Because of these
I
two
knew
things,
he was evil and he
Beardler
has the
was
Hitler
doomed.
outfit.
This evidence was irrefutable. Beardler himself couldn't deny it, and at this point, he didn't.
Oh my gosh, his profile picture. Brother. Oh my gosh.
Beardler himself couldn't deny it, and at this point, he didn't. Beardler confessed. Yes, he'd stolen from both bases and blew them up to hide his tracks. People were furious. Not only did Beardler betray them, steal from them, and destroy their homes, he also lied about it. But they got their
he lied about
revenge
it.
when the
Sorry.
Short Bus Caliphate, Blockchain Mecha's demolition team,
I don't know why
got
they
the
expect
location
any
of
different at
Beardler's
this
main
point.
base, Purgatory 2. This sequence of events was named the 𝗤𝗬𝗠𝗔𝗟𝗦 witch trials. When Purgatory 2 fell, Beardler quit the server, closing the lid on the whole ordeal.
Wait, really? He just
Since
quit?
you made it this far into the video, I'd really appreciate it if you considered subscribing to see more content like this. Thanks. Around
Maybe.
this
I'll
time,
consider
two
it.
programmers, Ox22 and 𝗬𝗠𝗖𝗜𝗓, discovered a
Lying is
strange
the worst thing
exploit.
you could
They
do.
learned to click on blocks outside their render distance. This didn't seem to be too big of a deal.
Oh, just like
but
Brad
if they
Pitt
did this enough,
accident.
the
I
server would
see.
lag. If they did it some more, the server would crash. Crashes can
Why
alert
do they
house
wanna
masters
crash
what's
the
going
server?
on,
It's so messed up.
they didn't want that. Instead, Ox22 and 𝗬𝗬𝗖𝗓 used it to skip the queue. If they lagged the server just enough for it to be unplayable, most of the people online would either get kicked or rage quit, opening up hundreds of slots at a time. But they realized this exploit might be able to be used for something more, so they brought in Frickin'. Then they started crashing the server as hard as possible. That wasn't the only big exploit going around though. In mid-July, the third Donkey Dupe was discovered and leaked. This was done by riding a donkey using entity speed into unloaded chunks. The donkey would get stuck and continue riding, duplicating itself and all the shulkers it was carrying. This dupe helped source a great number of new entrepreneurial ventures, 2B2T item shops. These shops sold items for real-world money. At the time, a shulker of items might sell for $5 or more, but 32k weapons sold for over $100 each.
Oh my gosh, people actually made money on this server? That's crazy. Thank you for the follow, 𝗬𝗓𝗓 Gaming. Thank you.
Were sold by Jack the Ripper, Alpha Computer, and Hermetic Lock. Herm actually told me the profits went through his LLC, so they even paid taxes on them. The dupe stayed active for close to 2 months. This caused inflation so rampant that most items became worthless. Potentially using duped obsidian from this donkey exploit, Armorsmith's followers built their group's logo, the hammer and sickle in the sky above spawn. This launched an obsidian measuring contest between various groups as to who could build the largest obsidian spawn symbol. And that's when a French YouTuber with 1 million subscribers posted a video on the server. His name was Fuse3, and he started a series that brought tons of his French viewers onto 2B2T.
So international.
The regular 2B2T player base has top-class humor, so these new French invaders were called baguettes. Launching a new incursion when a YouTuber invades is now standard procedure, so that's exactly what _Henry did. 7th incursion, baby! Henry made a Discord server that grew so large, there was a voice chat with dozens of people, including FitMC and AntVenom, all trying to figure out what was going on with the incursion. Well, they had a couple of goals.
What is incursion?
Build a colossal lava wall around spawn named the French Friar, as well as a trench at a 2,000 block radius. Henry stepped down from leading the incursion, so they held a vote. Jared 2013 came out on top, and he organized the incursion into different groups, those dedicated to the lava wall, trench excavation, PvP defenders, and nether portal trappers. They even brought back slave masters because the slave labor system was so effective last time.
So it's
Fuse
like a war.
declared war on the Americans, and Fit got kicked out of the incursion group because people thought he was stirring up drama with Fuse to promote their YouTube channels. Fit wasn't the only person to get kicked out of the Discord, though. Jared started banning people who were disrupting and trolling, also known as average 2B2T behavior. Those people who got kicked weren't too happy, So the spawn PvPer, Women Are Objects, launched the new anti-incursion. The 7th incursion fizzled out with some
Anti-incursion?
drama
Oh,
and was
shoot.
labeled a failure. Some people, like 𝗞𝗬𝗠𝗔𝗡𝗦, continued to excavate the Great Spawn Trench. Everything came to a close when Feuds dueled Fit in the ruins of Aureus City. Fit
Not
pulled
the
out a
Pepsi
32k
flag.
armor set, Baguette down, YouTube clout attained, and that was that.
YouTube
Calm
clout
down.
obtained. Fit MC.
Now go home, Baguette, and be a family man.
Wow.
DigMC, the leader of the newly formed Backstreet Boys, said that despite the fact that it failed, he and a lot of the community have fond memories of the 7th incursion and helped
Aw.
groups like the Backstreet Boys grow. Soon though,
The Backstreet
2B2T
Boys.
faced its biggest threat yet.
I bet they'd make
Books.
the
If you
name
write a
groups
book
after
with tons
K-pop
of junk
now.
data, fill a couple shulkers with them, and then open a chest or try to relog, your client would have too much data and you'd continuously get kicked forever. Of
Oh my
course, on
gosh.
2B2T, this was weaponized. This wasn't actually the first time books with junk data were weaponized. In late 2017, the player 123fly123 was holding a shulker full of them when he killed his alt account. In Minecraft, when you kill someone with a renamed item, it will show that item in chat. Well, that was the case with the shulker as well, and every single person on the server with death messages enabled was kicked. This exploit was so powerful, people called it the Thanos snap. Things got so bad,
Holy
Housemaster had to
crap.
disable death messages entirely. Book kicking
Bro,
and book
people are
banning
doing
isn't
crazy
even the
stuff
limit.
just to skip
Do you
the
remember
queue.
the
It's
chunk dupe
wild.
that mining Minecraft and 𝗏𝗏𝗠 discovered from Moo Meabase? Well, Earth Computer figured it out as well and uploaded a video on it. This dupe was used across the server. The YouTuber SalC1 made a video using it on 2B2T, showing it to hundreds of thousands of people. Sal got famous making super cool, stylized 2B2T vids, which you should definitely check out. Another example of people using the chunk dupe is Jack the Ripper and Alpha Computer. They created a gargantuan stash in the end for Space Valkyria 3. The stash was so large, it housed a double chest full of shulkers of every single item in the game, and 200 double chests of quartz shulkers. That's 18.6 million blocks of quartz. Speaking of
Nice!
Space Valk
That's
3,
so-
some wild stuff
that
went
is
down
so
with it.
much.
Jack had completed the central design and was building the Rainbow Road, but when it came around, Jack realized it was misaligned, and it had to be perfect.
Oh my god,
This
there's
would
a
require
Twitch
destroying
emote
and
of
rebuilding the entire
2B2T?
thing, so Jack took some time away from the project. When he came
What?
back,
How did
he
you get
heard
that?
a griefer knew about the base and was actively looking for it. Knowing that it could be found using chunk trails, Jack moved his stash 13,000 blocks away and started building it again. This was a lot easier than the first
Jack
time, since
is
the
just
design
trying
was
to
already
live
done,
his life.
and allowed Jack to put more attention into the details. It's absolutely absurd how much dedication people put onto this block game server.
Oh, it's
Space
a channel
Valkyria
emote.
3 is so massive, you cannot possibly load all of the chunks at once. One day, Jack was working on one of the outer rings when he started running back to the middle. As the chunks loaded, he saw something that made his heart stop.
No!
TNT. He'd been
No,
found.
not the TNT!
All this hard work, these months, years actually, of devotion, only to get destroyed? Well, that's just how things are on 2B2T.
No, Jack, just make your own server.
Except that isn't what happened.
What?
Jack followed the trail of TNT to find it being placed by none other than Alpha Computer. Alright, bro. There's gotta be better ways to troll than that. Relieved,
Oh.
Jack went back to working on the base.
It was just a prank.
On the topic of
Oh
people with
my
insane
God.
dedication, let's move to the events of 2019.
Charlie.
Early on, there was a bunch of drama between Imperium and Highland, which resulted in the server's largest battle since the 6th incursion. By now, the book ban was fixed, but what's the saying? 2B2T, finds a way. The exploiter 𝗞𝗬𝗖𝗜𝗓 used a mod to place thousands of signs with thousands of characters at 00 in the nether. If the server sends your client a data packet 2.2 megabytes or larger, you'll get kicked. And as soon as you rejoin, you'll get kicked again.
Oh my
Anyone
God.
who loaded those chunks, either by going through a nether portal or by entering the area, was effectively banned from the server. These chunk bans would continue to be prevalent, not just using signs,
That's
but all
messed
kinds
up.
of other blocks as well. If it exists, 2B2T players will find a way to exploit it.
Yeah,
In
this is like what
February,
I'm
the
learning.
player
Everyone
PR
has
Thomas
like a
wanted
way.
to live up to his name and pull a PR stunt. Using duped items, Thomas set up an item shop called The Bannering, where anyone could buy shulkers full of gear. They could either pay real money or advertise for the server by
Bannering.
placing Thomas's banner. It's estimated that new players trying to get some gear placed over 1 million of these banners
Feet.
across the spawn region and wider server area.
Yeah, Minecraft is a
In
huge
2019,
buggy mess.
Minecraft had a resurgence. Its popularity skyrocketed, both in-game and on YouTube. With that resurgence came a fascination with Minecraft's oldest Anarchy server, and people started watching 𝗞𝗬𝗠𝗔𝗡𝗦 in droves. This flooded the server
Nice.
with
I
new
didn't know he had a
players
huge
to
beard.
post-Rusher era levels. Q was often over 1,000 long. 𝗞𝗬𝗠𝗔𝗡𝗦's mini documentaries started reaching millions upon millions of people, but much of the 2B2T player base itself isn't a fan of 𝗞𝗬𝗠𝗔𝗡 because they say his videos exaggerate or dramatize the server. I feel
Well, he's just
𝗏𝗏𝗏
trying to
said
pay
it
the
best, though.
bills.
I think that you need to look at his videos like if you're telling a bedtime story to like your grandchildren or something. They're wonderful little stories. They don't have to be grounded in absolute facts.
DigMC also said,
Maturing on 2B2T is learning to respect 𝗏𝗏𝗏 at least a little bit.
even if a
Yeah.
new player thinks they know everything about the server from 𝗞𝗬𝗏's videos, there's a huge amount of knowledge that simply comes from playing the server and experimenting. The player Satisfaction was riding a donkey with entity speed when he somehow ended up in a liminal space. He was invisible and flying around, but he could still affect things in the game.
How?
Fortunately, he was recording when this happened and went back to see what was going on. After some experimenting, he learned how to recreate this glitch and ascertained its full capabilities.
Of
The
course.
exploit allowed Satisfaction to enter into God mode. He became invisible, invincible, and could travel over 500 blocks a second and kill anyone with ease. Satisfaction told some friends who
That's
joined
messed
Team God
up.
mode and went to spawn to annihilate everyone. They weren't the only people who knew about the exploit, though. It had
You could
actually
literally
been
turn into
discovered
a
by
ghost.
𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 and Hacksaw Elite a couple months before, but Team God mode was going to be the reason it got patched. One of the members of Team God mode sold the method for a single shulker of items. He was probably just trying to troll, but the rest of Team God mode knew it was only a matter of time before the entire server knew how to do the exploit. So they made a fake
Dang.
identity to leak the mod required to enter into God mode. Of course, that mod was backdoored, and they got
Of
a bunch
course.
of base coordinates with it.
Of
With
course.
the exploit public, spawn became a chaotic mess of invisible players
I don't
trying
understand
to blow
how-
each other up.
I don't understand how anyone trusts any mod involved with 2B2T. Like, literally ever any mod. Also, I mean, I guess most people just don't understand how to code. It seems like a bit... Like, you must be oblivious at that point. Or maybe... Oh, you know what it probably is? There's probably just, like, a ton of new players. Nobody actually bothers to look at what they're downloading and run. Yeah. Thankfully, it's only, like, backdoors into the game rather than, like, doxing backdoors. I hope that's not... Surely that won't happen.
Up with crystals. In May, the Tyranny from 2016, now rebranded to Nerds Incorporated, hosted
Oh, it's like Monsters,
another
Inc., but with
31
an
days
N.
of 31 griefs. Jared 2013 was once again the figurehead. This time, rather than destroy the bases himself, he just posted screenshots of their
Avivi.
cords onto the subreddit. This included
my
Niflheim. The
gosh.
nerds said they were able to reverse engineer its location by looking at ice spikes in the
Of
background.
course.
On
Reverse.
May 8th,
Yeah,
Jack the Ripper was
that's
working on the
suspicious.
outer rings of Space Valkyria 3 when he got a strange feeling. Just to be safe, he took a world download of the base, but continued working. The next day, he got that same feeling again. Something was wrong, but he couldn't quite put his finger on what. He looked at the chat and saw Tristan said it was placing TNT. That didn't mean much those days, especially
Oh.
during the 31 days of griefs. Nevertheless, Jack started moving towards the
Jack.
main area of the base.
No.
But there it was, TNT on the Rainbow Road. He still couldn't see anyone, but thought this might just be Alpha Computer pranking
No,
him again.
no
And then
prank.
they came into view. Jared, Tristan, Clyde, Frickin, and Brunillan. Jack
Dude.
didn't stand a chance. It was the tyranny at the lands all over again. And this was it.
I hate
For
these
real
guys.
this time. Space Valkyria 3 was gone.
I hate these guys. They're so.
But then Jack
Go get
remembered
alive.
the original Space Valkyria 3 site with the misaligned Rainbow Road. Jack had an alt logged out nearby and carefully made his way over to the original build. Astonishingly, it was untouched. Jack knew the Nerds Inc. had an exploit of some kind, but he didn't know what. They didn't just stumble upon his base randomly. They knew exactly where he was and what he was doing. They must have had a way to target his account, so he got another one. A secret account no one knows about, and he brought it to the original Space Valkyria 3 site. So Jack had an untarnished build, but what could he do with it? Nerds Inc. destroyed his stash of tens of millions of items. Well, Jack's friend Silver Crown King went to the Grief to survey the wreckage and found a lone survivor. One singular donkey.
They did donkey
the key
skips.
to Space Valkyria's salvation. Jack went to the ruins, found the donkey, and built a 13,000 block ridge to the original site. Then he went back and destroyed it, leaving no trace behind. With this donkey and the duplication glitch, Jack duped enough materials to finish the base.
Let's go!
As if May didn't have enough drama, the popular Twitch streamer 𝗬𝗏𝗧 found out about 2b2t and joined it on stream. He and his tens of thousands of viewers did their best to join and started spamming 9 in the chat. Housemaster himself even joined in, sending a rare server broadcast. Q skyrocketed to over 1,500 people,
That guy
and
looks so familiar.
It was time for another incursion. Since the 7th incursion was a failure, the term had lost a lot of its meaning. So, people instead called it the Purge. The Purge was spearheaded by Police Mike 55, Hermetic Lock, the Dark Emperor, and UFO Crossing, with the sole purpose of
These
wiping
skins
out
are
new
so
players so
cool.
much they were completely discouraged from ever coming back. Police Mike had a personal dog.
Did they
in
type
this fight.
Brad Pitt
He
in the
remembered
chat?
the old days.
Oh yeah, maybe. I think this is one of those streamers that had like a really controversial chat. So, you know, probably came with some weird words.
Purpose of wiping
Yeah,
out
probably.
new players so much they were completely discouraged from ever coming back. Police Mike had a personal dog in this fight. He remembered the old days of the server, back when there wasn't the need for a queue at all. Police Mike had stopped playing in 2015, long before the Russian invasion, but then returned a few years later. When he came back, things were completely different. If they weren't careful, 𝗬𝗏𝗧's invasion could become another stark dividing line in 2b2t history. With his viewers, Q was 1,500 long, which is outright ridiculous.
Oh
That
my
means it'd take
gosh.
12 hours or more for someone who didn't buy priority to get into the server.
12
and so, the old
hours?
players knew the purge was absolutely necessary.
They're
The leaders
purging
of
people.
the purge split up its members into 5 regiments. The Lava Regiment, dedicated to building a lava wall in a 2,000 block radius, going from world height to bedrock. This was possible because of the work 𝗞𝗬𝗠𝗔𝗡𝗏 and others did for the 7th
Maybe I'll
Incursion's
play
Great
Minecraft.
Spawn Trench.
I kind of
Next,
wanted to play
the Highway Regiment, tasked
I
with
kind of wanted
destroying
to play
all highways in the
Cyberpunk or
greater
some
spawn
game like
area.
that.
Third,
After
the Lag
E33.
Regiment, ready to build and turn on lag machines across the server to stop 𝗬𝗏𝗧 by any means necessary. Then, the Spawn Patrol, charged with building portal traps in the Nether and killing any invaders. And
Oh yeah,
finally,
you're right. I'm
there
playing
were
with
the
a
base
rubber
hunters.
band after E33.
Their mission: search and destroy. They wiped out any farm and base that cropped up that might help new players within 10,000 blocks of spawn. This was the 3rd YouTuber invasion in a row where an anti-incursion movement arose.
MLG
They tried to
edits is
sabotage
so
the lava
funny.
wall by turning it to cobblestone. They
MLG
even
Minecraft.
attempted to rebuild Wrath Outpost. In spite of the opposition, the Purge was making progress. Every time 𝗬𝗏𝗧 tried to stream on the
Aw.
server, he'd get lagged out. This made his streams quite boring, as most of them were simply him
Oh my
waiting
God,
in
his
queue.
chat is
Eventually,
going
𝗬𝗏𝗧 stopped
so
streaming
fast.
2b2t entirely and moved back to his regular content. Q was halved, and the Purge was victorious.
Oh, nice,
During
it
the
worked.
Purge, Police Mike 55 gained a lot of clout. Not to say he didn't have a lot already, being such an OG player, But this was something new. People constantly asked how things were back in the old days, before all these massive hostilities. To answer, he made a detailed post on Reddit, talking about his time in the Facepunch Republic, Ziggytown, Squidbase, and Plugin-Town. The post was seen by a fair amount of the community, including a few old players. One of them was confused,
Interesting.
saying, "Weird. That's not how I remember it."
Ooh,
Police
drama.
Mike recalled events differently than other players, which makes sense because memory can be faulty. XCC2 thought it was really strange, though, and told 𝗓𝗏𝗏 about the situation. 𝗓𝗏𝗏 messaged Police Mike 55
That
on
is so funny. That's really strange. That Reddit comment was really strange. I need to tell her about the situation. The Reddit situation. About the comment on Reddit about a Minecraft server. Sorry.
Snapchat and asked him about it. Police Mike revealed he hadn't played 2B2T in years. In fact, he sold his account and the new owner assumed his identity. The Police Mike 55 running the purge had been an imposter the entire time.
Among Us.
𝗓𝗏𝗏 exposed the entire situation on Reddit. The community was shocked. How would you react if you found out your friend had been lying to you for years? Well, actually, it's not that deep, bro. Some people even respected the hustle required
actually,
to keep
it's
up the
not that
ruse.
deep, bro.
And after thinking about it, a lot of people didn't really care, since the Police Mike was so chill. As Todorak said,
Oh, yeah, it is like, it's strange. It's objectively strange, but that guy, we like to call him Lucas. He's a super nice guy. Like, he's pretty down to earth and
Oh
he's
yeah,
chill.
he's so cool.
𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 actually interviewed both Police Mikes together on his podcast, the Dr. Ender Pickles Show. In it, the original Police Mike revealed something fascinating about the Farlands on 2B2T.
I have a memory. I don't know if it's a false memory, but I do have a memory of being at like the Farlands, and I thought I took a screenshot, and I've looked through my screenshots. It was on an old hard drive, and like, I mean, $2,000. Who doesn't want that? But yeah, I tried really hard. I could not find it, but I'm 95% certain that I did go there and take a screenshot. I just cannot find it.
Until someone can find something more definitive, the Farlands will remain a 2B2T legend.
Ooh.
The dust from the purge had barely settled when Jared
A
2013
legend.
called for another incursion. Why? I don't know. Q was still pretty high, and I guess he wanted to bring people together. With Armorsmith's help, they set out to flood Spawn with another giant water cube. They advertised with Big Man Tyrone, the man behind...
Bye-bye.
Every 60 seconds in Africa,
What?
a minute passes.
Jared eventually got tired of the 8th incursion, and they never ended up finishing the water cube.
Oh
He
my
passed
god,
ownership
is that what I think it is? Bye-bye.
of the Discord to
Bye-bye.
a German player named Baki Bakbak, who converted it
Oh,
to
it's a
new
German
group
Joker.
called the Infinity
Baki
Incursion.
Bakbak.
The water cube attempt
Bye-bye.
wasn't the only big
Bye-bye.
project going on. To celebrate Pyrobyte and the 3rd Incursion's Wrath Outpost, King Aurelius and the Last Templar built a monument 10,000 blocks from Spawn on the Eastern Highway. It took 10 people 4 hours to place over 100,000 obsidian.
Whoa.
2B2T isn't just the stuff that happens at Spawn. In mid-October, 123Fly123 told his friends Courier6 and 4Pilot he was going to hunt for bases in the negative-positive portion of the map. In the Nether, he found an abandoned railway. It was pretty clear
Nice.
the chunks were from 2013. Then, he saw a sign, spawned by Housemaster. On the other side of the portal
Okay.
was an unusual base. In some chests, Fly spotted a couple books signed by Housemaster.
No
Outside,
way, what?
Some pinwheels. This was Brad Pittville all over
Ooh.
again. After exploring the
Oh,
base,
no.
he went AFK. When he returned to his computer,
Brad
it
Pitt
looked
and
like he was
pinwheels
killed back
again?
to Spawn, but he couldn't find a death message in chat. Fly told Courier 6 what he found, but refused to share the coordinates. But Courier had a clue. 2013 chunks in the negative-positive quadrant. He and 4Pilot spent the next 2 weeks searching every chunk
Oh
trail
my
in the
gosh.
entire quadrant before they found it. But find it, they did. The two of them also explored the base, but both ended up dead to unknown causes. When
Huh?
they came back to the base, chests were cleared and sections of it were completely gone, as if they'd been removed by World Edit. 4Pilot emailed House about the situation, but House denied any involvement.
But
Right
who
around this
else
time,
has
the
World
builder
Edit?
𝗏𝗏𝗏90 completed his Jesus Donut build, leaked its coordinates,
Jesus
and then
Donut?
goofed it. that wasn't the only unholy occurrence to occur this month. 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, Linky, and Redstoner made a hat client to write the entire Christian Bible on 2b2t. It took close to 350 books.
Wait,
or 13
a Bible? Like
they
a
put them
real
all
Bible?
in one chest. When Redstoner opened the chest, the server froze and then crashed.
Oh.
2b2t crashed another 10 times in the next 24 hours because of this. To stop it, Housemaster set a cap on player data file sizes, meaning you'd get kicked if your client had too much data. The authors of the Bible found out about this the hard way, as they accidentally bookbanned themselves. This made them look into other book exploits, and they actually found a workaround to the Thanos Snap book kick exploit from a couple years
Not the
before.
Thanos Snap!
Steve3 and 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 started abusing that. Because the server's Anarchy, House won't ban people, but he did remove the priority queue from the book kickers.
Okay, so I am curious, like, why this guy doesn't ban people, but I guess that's part of the thing, is he just doesn't ban people.
Not happy they got their priority queue removed, Steve3, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏1, G-Smack, and a few other people created the Book Club.
Yeah, banning is not
whose sole
Anarchy,
purpose
that's
was
true.
to ban as many people from the server as possible. They went to the Nether and built automatic book banning chambers. Housemaster wasn't pleased, since it's estimated they banned between 400 and 700 people. That's insane. Since the book club was disrupting
Okay,
the
so
server,
Housemaster
House
won't
removed
ban them, but he'll let them ban other people?
the priority queue of every member, including people who weren't actively involved. Rather than solve this by civilized means, the book club decided they'd do everything in their power to take the server down.
What?
Thus began No Server November, a concerted
No
effort to
Server
lag and
November,
crash the
bro,
server
what?
every single day of November. Even though they lost their priority queue, they found that throwing snowballs from 2011 at someone caused most of the server to get kicked. Why? Minecraft is spaghetti code, I don't know. This allowed them to get onto 2b2t immediately, even with their priority queue removed. Because of the lag, queue dropped to 85, and priority queue was instant. But that wasn't all. On November 9th, one of the book club members posted an image to the subreddit saying, "The Bedrock comet got turned into stone, lol." When people went to investigate, they got disconnected from the server.
Oh, the
when they logged back in,
Incredibles,
they
Mike
got kicked
Wazowski.
immediately once
I remember
more.
these
Those
memes.
players were chunk banned. Housemaster had to manually revert the area in and around the Bedrock comet because the book club had placed illegal player heads. The heads had enough data to overload the chunk. In fact, they only needed around 7 layers to do it, so the chunk bans could be set up with speed. Housemaster patched the player heads, so they went to the end and built another chunk ban with banners at end spawn. Anyone who joined the dimension got banned. The book club knew exactly how many banners would do it, as they had a redstone machine that could remove just a single banner to open up the dimension to their friends and other accounts. They managed to close off the end for the better part of a week.
Oh yeah, so what I was gonna say is the Housemaster will let these people ban people, but the Housemaster himself won't ban them. Like, at that point, it's not an Anarchy server, it's just like they have control over whatever. I guess that's Anarchy. I just feel like they should be banned. I don't know. The Housemaster makes all these rules anyway.
After this, they went to the Nether highways and built chunk bans there, banning upwards of 50 players a day. They made people even more curious about exploring the areas by placing "road closed" signs. These chunk bans were powerful. So
You're gonna
powerful,
force
in
me to
fact,
get
that
bit
the book club
badges?
realized they could create an
scared.
unraidable base by having an area completely surrounded by chunk bans. They built that too. Before No Server November started, MrBeast uploaded his hashtag Team Trees video.
No way!
Some of the book club members started the Team No Trees movement, where they destroyed all dirt and trees within 10
MrBeast uploaded a video. Plant 1,000 trees. The 2b2t server. No trees. That is so freaking funny, man. These guys are
1,000 blocks of
weird.
Spawn. Fit made a video covering this, and the project died pretty quickly after that was posted. But Team No Trees wasn't
Anarchy.
the only group the book club spurred. Many of their members, like Steve3, Redstoner, and House1, join together in the Brownman. Later on, they get up to some crazy stuff. Ultimately, most players who had been priority banned during the book club event had their priority queue restored, at which point no server November ended. November 2019 was an outrageous month. Even with all the no server November shenanigans, the Infinity Incursion overpassed the Cult of Armorsmith, taking the title for having the largest obsidian spawn symbol. Somehow, they placed 589,000 obsidian partly during that lag. Not only that, but 𝗬𝗏 returned to 2b2t after 8 years. Wanting to send more ripples through the community, Armorsmith messaged the leader of the 2011 Face Punch Republic on Reddit, urging him to come back to 2b2t. Well, Armorsmith was successful, and 𝗬𝗏 formed the new Face Punch Republic. These started out trying to repair 2K2K. If we visit there in-game, we see how difficult this would actually be. Dog, it's a black hole over there. Wary that Armorsmith was trying to control the group from behind the scenes, 𝗬𝗏 spoke to 𝗬𝗏86, who had been part of Face Punch way back in the day. From 𝗬𝗏, 𝗬𝗏 got a clearer understanding of what Armorsmith was trying to do, so he cut ties with Armorsmith and took control of the Republic. They went on to restore and rebuild Castle Hateheart. On November 22nd, the 100k 2b2t World Download project went public. Made by 15 players in combination with each other, this 216GB file is 2b2t spawn plus 50,000 blocks in each direction. Mothra posted it onto the Reddit along with a render, which shows how more and more of the world becomes ocean the further you go. This is because of an old glitch in Minecraft terrain generation, which has long since been patched. There was also this dude named 𝗬𝗏, who got bored one day and covered an entire island in gold, diamond, and emerald blocks. He called this El Dorado and wanted to invite people to it via a puzzle. So he posted a screenshot of his island to Reddit with the title 5/2/01708/70932-22988.22991. As the wiki says, 𝗬𝗏 severely overestimated the intelligence of the 2b2t subreddit. Nobody got it right. Was that unexpected though? The top comment was literally, house biome, even though no one solved his puzzle.
I guess I overestimated the average autism around here. He just gave them the coordinates. Nobody wanted to see it. That's so funny.
Anyway. In December, the dudes responsible for one of the earliest spawn water cubes, ScholarG and GSmack, did the same, but in the end, they flattened out the bedrock floor, removed a whole bunch of random endstone, and used a bedrock removal exploit to carve their names into the bedrock floor. On top of that, there was an exploit that allowed them to create indestructible end crystals. Putting these at the obsidian spawn platform meant anyone who entered the end would instantly fall into the void.
That's so funny.
Wasn't a fan of that, so he deleted the crystals. After placing over 150,000
but that's kind of funny.
They finished it. Strangely, when they respawned and then killed the dragon in the water cube, it dropped a dragon egg. House was obviously busy during December, because apart from removing fall traps, he brought in a patch that fixed unbreakable items, 32k tools, and death messages. Also in December, the Skymasons completed a project that flexed on everyone. The Masons, who had a resurgence earlier in the year, recruited Leisure, the developer of Baritone. Baritone is a Minecraft machine learning program that can automatically navigate terrain, find routes, and execute simple tasks. At the Skymasons' request, Leisure modified Baritone to help them build a ginormous version of their logo.
Even his logo
this worked
looks
in
similar.
tandem with Hermetic Lock's real-time
the
tracking
Freemasons?
on who was placing what, a live map of the logo's progress, and where the Baritone bots needed to go. They had more than 61 bots running Baritone who placed over 28 million obsidian during an 8-day time period. This logo is so large, it engulfs all other logos placed near it.
Oh my
During
gosh,
this year,
how do they do
2b2t
that?
absolutely popped off on YouTube. Tons of huge YouTubers joined to check it out and make videos of it, like Shotgun Raids and the Atlantic Craft. The Camping Rusher himself even returned, but his video flopped, so he didn't stick around for long. In early 2020,
it's literally the same logo as the
made his own video on the
Freemasons.
server.
That's pretty
Things
funny.
went down in 2020, not just because of the virus, but that definitely contributed. With everyone stuck at home,
I'm a
they played a
YouTuber.
lot more Minecraft
Now.
and 2b2t as a result. But the virus wasn't the first thing to happen this year. In February, the server found out about a base that had survived since 2012 for 8 years. Called the Monastery, it was founded in 2012 by Marcus4761, TD Fractal 44, and 𝗬𝗚𝗖𝗜𝗔𝗟𝗦. Over the years, its players grew inactive. In 2016, Marcus moved to Kinograd, but when that was destroyed by the tyranny, Marcus left the server
Kinograd
for good.
lasted
A few years
so
later,
long.
he returned
What?
and checked out the monastery, just out of curiosity.
Oh, that's cool.
Surprisingly, it was still
The
intact.
Christmas tree.
Others had found the base and added to it. Only in 2020 did the Backstreet Boys find it and destroy it. And then late in the month, Minecraft experienced one of its most dangerous exploits to date.
Wait.
What? Uh-oh. It's not good.
The authentication exploit.
No!
This exploit allowed hackers to log into anyone's account without their username or password. Who used it the most? None other than Nerds Inc., of course. They logged into well-known players' accounts like ArmorSmith, cleared their inventories and ender chests, and wiped them back to spawn.
Okay,
Jared
like,
2013
this, like, I was thinking about, oh, that'd be so cool to join the server. Now there's no way in hell I'm joining this server. That just ruins all of the fun. Like, before, you know, you're doing exploits, blah, 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 this and that. But then you do this? It's like now nobody will ever trust going on this server.
Teen logged into some of the accounts of some of the members of Moo and got the coordinates to it. On those accounts, he wasn't able to do much harm, but that didn't matter. He knew where it was. The authentication exploit was patched by Mojang very quickly, but the damage had been done. Moo would be destroyed.
Okay, Mojang
However,
patched
the
it, that
builders
was
knew
good,
it would be at least
that's still
a week
just so
and
scary.
maybe 2 before Jared could arrive.
Hi,
it was
Dark Red.
simply that far out. With that strict deadline, they went into overdrive to complete the base's final project, Lamp's Nether Hub. After moving their dupe stashes, they embarked on what would become their final act of defiance, Project Noah. The goal? Flood as much of the base as possible, making the griefing process that much more difficult.
No, I didn't see a
This
Discord
was a fitting
recap.
end to Moo,
Didn't know that
because
was a
according to
thing.
the legends, the lost continent sank into the ocean and became Atlantis. Jared did his best to destroy it, but did not do a very good job. Burnsie made a post about the base, and tons of people pulled up, including 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, who took a world download of the partially griefed base, which allowed the builder Universicius to repair Moo in single player to restore it to a near perfect version of the ungriefed base. And that's the world download we're looking at now. At Moo, Crowbar had planned to construct a large bridge to cross the megabase, but that didn't manifest before it was destroyed. He did have a backup though. Crowbar went to Offtopia and Lane's Endtopia, a base established in 2018, hundreds of thousands of blocks out in the end. Even Jack the Ripper pulled up after Nerds Inc. griefed
I'm
Space
just pinning my
Valkyria
video
3.
to the top
He didn't spend
so
too
people
much
can
time
see
there
it.
though, because he was busy with Site 2 of Space Valk 3. At Endtopia, Crowbar
This
built
place
a
is so
ginormous
pretty.
bridge, canal, and farms over the void, all with incredible detail. And this whole thing was set between 2 gargantuan portals. This barely looks like Minecraft.
Oh, that's a portal?
Crowbar shared the world download of the base with his friend Turban, who made a render of it. When Crowbar posted that to the 2b2t subreddit, it became the highest rated post of all time. I'm absolutely floored. It's astounding structures like this exist inside this blocky video game, and on 2b2t of all places.
Highest
and to
rated
think
post
this
of all
isn't the
time.
craziest thing Crowbar has even done. And now comes the virus. In celebration, the Spawn Mason, Nick as Cancer, started a base called COVID-2147.
Wait, what?
2147
Who has
being
what?
one of the group's sacred numbers. A few months later, COVID-2147 fell, and the story behind that is a tangle of drama and controversy, which I'd rather not get into. So instead, let's talk about people getting banned from the server. Again. In
Yay,
April, the
final
Brown
bans!
Men, mainly Steve3, Redstoner, and 𝗏𝗏𝗏, were searching for a new dupe. Eventually, they found one, using donkeys. Because everyone was at home, Q had become insanely high again, so they wanted to do something about that. The chunk ban methods they had done before were all the same in principle, overloading a chunk with too much data for a person's Minecraft client to handle all at once. This was done with signs, player heads, and banners, but Housemaster had patched all of those. But maybe he missed something. Furnaces store data, right? Well, they had to try. The Brownmen started duping astronomical quantities of furnaces and then set up at 𝗬𝗍𝗓. Redstoner knew it could take days for one player to build a furnace chunk ban alone, so he made a Discord server called The Bakery. With strength in numbers, they were able to place enough furnaces to ban people.
Okay, good thing
in
they.
just
I
a
was
few
really
hours.
scared they were gonna
Each
do the
day,
slave
when
thing
the server
again.
restarted, Housemaster removed the chunk ban, so
What?
the Brownmen had to be ready to rebuild it. Redstoner set up a system for duping furnaces in mass, and then transported them to the bakery site. They only needed the small sum of 32,000 furnaces an hour.
Small
Even with
loan
Housemaster
of
removing the furnaces,
32,000
the bakery was efficient enough to get the chunk ban up and running again within 30 minutes. Fit himself made a video about how furnaces were weaponized on the oldest Anarchy server in Minecraft. He warned people not to go to 𝗬𝗍𝗓, so the bakery moved to 0-0 at spawn instead. Housemaster finally patched the furnace ban on April 20th. This same month, Joey Coconut, Henry, and Lord Galvatron took charge of the 2b2t Wiki project. There have been various Wiki projects before, but none this serious. This version of the project started in 2018, but the people I mentioned weren't satisfied with how it was going, and they decided to take it more seriously. Joey Coconut and tons of other writers, researchers, and editors have been remarkably dedicated to making all this 2b2t information easily accessible.
That's
right now,
messed up. If you disabled their data tracking, they don't give you a Discord recap.
Hits a year with just a small team. Joey told me the collaboration required for the wiki may be bigger than any base or group on the server, and it's a hell of a resource. Without the wiki, this video would have taken 10 times as long to make. So I gotta express my gratitude.
That's crazy that there's a wiki. Okay, this is why I was wondering, like, how did he know about all these people? How did he see the skins? How did he recreate or like make the footage?
Things happened in May of
Hi,
2020.
Dreadnought.
First, Fit hit 1 million subscribers, just showing how popular 2b2t content had become. He was making videos about the book club, the bakery, the authentication exploit, and more. If you got into a Fit video, that was a huge flex. Also, in his 1 million subscribers special, he revealed he used to be an elementary school history teacher. Reminiscing on the Russia War, he said,
"You know, I'm so used to like being a positive influence to kids. I want to just kill them for once."
Imagine coming home from school to join the oldest Anarchy server in Minecraft your favorite YouTuber was talking about, only to get disintegrated by your very own history teacher. Yikes. A bit later in the month, the motorway extension gurus achieved the world record for the longest road ever built in survival Minecraft. This project started when Citadel 2222 wanted to pull a Burnsy and get to the world border corner. When digging the Nether Highway, he met 𝗏𝗏𝗖𝗜𝗓. A bunch of other people joined as well, and with the help of Baritone, they were able to get through 125,000 Nether blocks a day. After 7 months, they made it to the world border corner, 5,303,000 blocks in the Nether, and 42,426,000 blocks in the overworld. Right around when the motorway extension gurus finished their project, a Turkish streamer named Dogan Kanadal was traveling to the ruins of Space Valkyria 3 when he stumbled upon the intact version. Knowing the gig was up, Jack the Ripper took a world download of the base. By now, Minecraft had updated all the way to 1.16, but 2b2t was still stuck in 1.12. Rather than try build it again on 2b2t, Jack moved Space Valkyria 3 to a 1.16 world where he could access all the new blocks. He live streamed his building process on his YouTube channel, which you should totally subscribe to.
Oh my god, I will!
In June, someone discovered that quickly placing and breaking blocks at the top of the obsidian sky in spawn caused major lag to the server, and could sometimes even crash it. The reason for this is because the server was overloading itself, trying to figure out how these block changes affect the light levels below. Spamming this was too much for it to handle. Ever since No Server November, and maybe even before, Housemaster's policy was that if you make the server
okay, I'm still so like shocked that Housemaster's doing all of the maintenance. Surely there's a team by now, like some sort of paid team, because they're getting subscription service now.
Playable for other people, you'll get priority banned. This means he'll refund your $20 for priority queue and you won't be able to buy it again. House set up a plugin that automatically detected where lag was coming from and then removed people's priority queue if they were in the area. To troll, Redstoner built machines to do the skylight lag automatically, which would get the priority queue status removed from anyone who walked near it. This happened to a bunch of people, and House gave them their priority status back because he didn't want the plugin taking out innocent players.
Yeah, what?
In late June, 𝗦𝗬𝗠𝗔𝗡𝗜, who is now the leader of the Spawnmasons, started the Spawn Train project, a train build project that anyone could join. He created the first car in the train and then revealed the location. Normally, this would bring tons of griefers who'd immediately blow everything up, but 𝗦𝗬𝗠𝗔𝗡𝗜 did things a little differently. Rather than give the coordinates outright, he sent people on a 4-part quest with clues that eventually gave the coordinates 17,800, -9400.
He gave him a little
𝗦𝗬𝗠𝗏
quest.
himself
That's so
said the
cute.
quest was the perfect filter for idiots.
But yeah, there were like 4 stages. You had to solve a clue at each one to get to the next stage, and that like was a perfect filter for idiots. Like,
yeah, it wasn't hard stuff. I remember it was like
I
you
love
reverse
filtering
image
idiots.
search a picture of a town or something to find.
yeah,
its name.
it was not that hard, but like it's a perfect filter.
People kept adding cars to it, and it grew by hundreds and hundreds of blocks.
Wow.
Because the build got larger, that increased the likelihood people would stumble into it, and stumble into it they did. But rather than destroy, they added their own cars. But then, the last person you'd want at your spawn train showed up. Jared 2013. Jared didn't blow it up, but instead built a caboose. He then warned if anyone built past his caboose, he'd destroy the entire thing.
Wow.
This might be the first time someone built in order to grief. This effectively ended the project with more than 50 cars spanning over 1,000 blocks. Tons of people were doing crazy feats for several reasons.
It seems like people are griefing a lot less
this is 2B2T,
now.
so what do you expect? But secondly, people were trying to get into fit videos. One player named 𝗫𝗏𝗏 wanted to show how easy it was to actually do that.
Okay.
So he made a group meticulously designed to become a fit MC video. Ken brought Fight Club to Minecraft. The Fight Club built arenas all over the server and advertised their events by setting every map in the game to their Discord server advertisement. They started out with just a couple members, but by word of mouth, the Discord server grew to over 600 people. After a couple of months, Fit found one of the advertisements while live streaming and showed up to one of their arenas to make a video. On July 25th, 2020, 2B2T's Minecraft Fight Club. Mission accomplished. As soon as that video was made, the Fight Club Discord server tripled, but Ken wasn't done. He teamed up with the Guardsmen to do another event. The Guardsmen was a group made and run by 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, who left the Spawnmasons due to internal conflict earlier that year. Herm was tired of dealing with the drama between members, so he was like, nah, I'ma do my own thing. The first thing they did was rebuild Aurea City, which Fit visited. Then, with Fight Club, the Guardsmen built a 3D obsidian labyrinth and transported several Elder Guardians there to trap people inside. Everyone who showed up to what they thought would be another Fight Club event got trapped in there.
Oh
the
my
guards
gosh.
themselves were able to bypass the mining fatigue because they could drink milk from a cow they airlifted from 6,000 blocks away. 52 people got trapped, and Fit made another video about it. After Fit left, Ken built a giant lag machine to try make everyone lose their priority queue, but it only kicked people from the server. He sent his message, purge the Fight Club Discord server, and deleted it. In August, the Netherroof Freedom Project ended. 2.5 years earlier, an anonymous player started to dig a 10,000 by 10,000 block area at the top of the Nether, 3 blocks tall. In 6 months, he'd mined 3 million netherrack, or 1% of the project. This would have to get faster. In July 2019, he learned about baritone and made the Nether Roof Freedom Project official by inviting people to help him out, including Legerv, the developer of 𝗞𝗬𝗠𝗏 himself.
The
After some
Nether
hiccups,
Root
the project
Freedom
finished.
Project is
300
crazy.
million netherrack excavated. Speaking of strange things to
People would do this for hours in a day, but they won't like throw away the water bottles on their desk.
occur with the Nether roof. Courier6 discovered water above it. Water in the Nether is one thing, but above the Nether roof, this must have been placed by someone with a backdoor before Minecraft release 1.8, which 𝗬𝗬𝗠𝗜 updated to in January 2015. Courier6 told Thebes
People will
and
do
Sound
this,
about
but
the
won't
water,
get a
and
job.
they decided to wait until the server updated to 1.13, which added kelp. This would let them create water source blocks. Their plan was to make a machine to
Hi,
bring
Nira.
the water above Nether spawn, and after that, they'd flood it. However, someone else discovered it too, made a hole in the Nether roof, and built a huge Nether base with flowing aqueducts. Not wanting to let the base builder get in the way of his plans, Courier6 returned to grief the base, and he did it with a lava cast in the Nether. In September 2020 though, Housemaster released a plugin that removed any blocks placed above the Nether roof. I don't know what's more insane, water in the
Housemaster
Nether
having to
or this
take
next
care of his
event.
little babies
Jared
again.
2013 started a base. I know, Jared actually building instead of destroying. Crazy the
Well,
timeline
he built a
we're in.
caboose too.
Jared got together with another player, Orson, to see if they could work together. The pair very quickly invited Crowbar to join them. Jared helped Crowbar determine the color palette they'd use based on red velvet cake. After that though, the two base founders left for the majority of the base's lifespan. On his own, Crowbar named it Whitehaven and built solo. Eventually, he invited Joey Coconut and Geigo, who helped contribute
Joey
more.
Coconut is
Later,
the name that makes me
ArmorSmith's
giggle.
followers, always trying to get a rise from the server, created the Anti-Bedrock Society, which used exploits to destroy illegally placed bedrock. The main target was the Bedrock Comet built by Passio5 all the way back in 2012. The Infinity Incursion found out what the Anti-Bedrock Society was attempting to do, so they went to the Comet to stop them. ArmorSmith and his followers were defended by Team 𝗬𝗬𝗠. This was the Battle of Ziggy Town. The fight
Of
lasted
Ziggy
over
Town?
7 hours, but Team 𝗬𝗬𝗠 emerged victorious. That freed ArmorSmith to destroy the last piece of bedrock. While all this was going on, the Infinity Incursion was busy. Initially, they wanted to actually complete the lava wall that had been attempted in so many incursions previously. Using the Great Spawn Trench as the base, they placed 48,000 lava source blocks and 200,000 pieces of obsidian to protect the lava from getting destroyed. Being a number of blocks thick, this lava wall was pretty decent at stopping new players in their tracks. After it was done, the Infinity Incursion began Operation Nether 2012. The goal? Build the biggest water cube in the server's history. So why was it called Operation Nether 2012? Well, that was just to throw people off their tracks. The Infinity Incursion removed all the lava casts at spawn and surprisingly discovered illegally placed bedrock. Despite facing some resistance,
I wonder how it got
Incursion
there.
members placed all the water source blocks needed to flood the region. And then the unthinkable happened.
Oh?
A YouTuber joined the server. Not just any YouTuber,
A
though.
YouTuber?
MrBeast.
Mr.
MrBeast was popping
Mr.
off
Beast
on
joined
his
the
gaming
server!
channel,
No
with each video getting anywhere from 50 to
No
200
freaking
million views. If he made a video on 𝗬𝗬𝗠𝗏, that could mean the end of the server. When AntVenom released his video back in 2018, it got a few 100,000 views early on. Q jumped to 300 players. Not much by modern standards, but a lot back then. 300 people from a couple 100,000 views. With a MrBeast video, it wouldn't be unreasonable to expect regular Q to jump to over 30,000, making the server impossible to play. There's also the added danger of MrBeast making 𝗬𝗬𝗠𝗏 more mainstream. Since this video is on YouTube, I've toned down a lot of 𝗬𝗬𝗠𝗏's politically incorrect nature, but if it were more well known, it's quite possible that Microsoft could step in and shut down the Minecraft server that commonly builds German pinwheels and
Bro, if Microsoft stepped in, that would be crazy.
Spammed countless racial slurs the moment Etika joined. For the good of the server, MrBeast could not be allowed to live. A bunch of people from the community got
We
together
must kill
in a massive call
MrBeast
in
for the
Infinity
greater
Incursion
good.
Discord, where Fit joined and asked, "What do we do?" Baki suggested they get in contact with MrBeast and convince him the server wasn't family friendly in the slightest, and making the video was a bad idea. At the same time, Joey Coconut launched the 10th Incursion, where the community rallied to destroy any infrastructure that might help new players, portal trap the nether, and flood it with lava. Fit himself was contacted by one of the managers of MrBeast's film crew and asked if he'd like to join the video. Fit would serve as a guide and bodyguard. He conveyed the toxic nature of 2B2T,
Were the
while
MrBeast
MrBeast himself
sleeper agents?
received a lot of hate from 2B players on Twitter.
Carl
The
Jacobs?
message got across, and the manager told Fit the video was cancelled. 2B2T was saved. Maybe. For the next few days, members of MrBeast's team were seen on the server. In response, the 10th Incursion filled the nether with enchanting tables, which lagged people's games and the server itself.
Oh my
Housemaster had to
gosh.
intervene several times, as these tens of thousands of enchanting
MrBeast member
tables
spotted.
were destroying the server.
Execute
But
server
a couple days of
termination.
unplayable 2B2T
Server termination.
is a small
Price to pay for salvation.
In late October, some dark stuff went down. Some 2B2T players were developing a hacked client named Phobos when the code was stolen and leaked. Furious that their hard work had been made public like that, the Phobos developers released the client themselves. But this version was laced with malicious code. The backdoor was run over 4,000 times in just 48 hours, revealing base coordinates and stash locations. As a result, the Imperium group collapsed because the client caused upwards of 70% of its members to quit. They didn't quit because they lost their Minecraft items, but because of something absolutely malevolent. The programmer Ox22 searched through the client's code and found it didn't only grab Minecraft.
Okay, can I just say I love the little representation they have in Minecraft of the people coding IRL. Like, he's searching through the code and they have like a little Minecraft character hitting blocks. It's so cute. In reality, it's some guy in like a hoodie in a dark room with all the lights off, sitting at his computer desk for 12 hours a day.
Information, but it also stole Discord logins, Google Chrome data, and computer files, which includes secure passwords, addresses, and banking data. Doing this,
Oh my god!
the Phobos developers committed a federal crime. Normally, the
Yeah!
block game drama stays in the block game, but not always.
The block
Another
drama stays in
situation
the
where
block
things got slightly out of hand, but nowhere near how they did with Phobos, is No Server November 2020. Run by the Brownmen, the team had prepared since last year. They were organized with a Discord server and planned to blackmail Housemaster into changing things about 2B2T. Otherwise, they'd make it unplayable for the whole month and ban hundreds of people in the process.
Are they gonna dock MrBeast?
Their demands were mostly to re-enable items and features present in vanilla Minecraft that House had changed because they were breaking the server. For example, fix elytras, boats, and flying machines, allow entities to go through portals, and fix horse speed. Also, stop priority banning people. The No Server November team had a lag machine design that, with a flick of a button, could bring the server to its knees. Also, they had a lot of boats. If you stand on top of 5 or more boats, you'll get kicked from the server because the anti-cheat thinks you're flying. Well, the No Server November team built boat stacks 50 high and trapped players in them. By November 11th, they'd banned over 500 people. Steve 3 and Redstone were working with the lag machine, which they
The
called
ban
the EMP.
apocalypse.
This caused some funky stuff to occur. Fit made a video about it, saying they'd accidentally made an immortality machine. No, it was just a simple lag machine. No immortality was achieved. They also had a queue skip to get their ults in. This was done by lagging most of the server's players offline, allowing new players to join, then kicking them, thus bringing the queue down from hundreds to dozens of players. To counter all this chaos, Housemaster created a list of all the people he suspected were behind the movement. He made a plugin to kick the entire list off 2b2t
Ooh.
anytime the server started lagging. It also kicked people nearby and removed their priority queue.
Dude, he's going through so much effort to not ban them. This is literally the epitome of Batman and the Joker. Like, the Joker's gonna kill people. The Joker's gonna, like, change the rules. He's gonna take down society. And Batman refuses to kill the Joker. He just makes it a little bit hard for the Joker to do stuff. They literally need each other. The Housemaster and 2b2t, they need each other. They, like, one can't exist without the other.
The No Server November squad built a lag machine near a Fight Club event, which removed a lot of innocent players' priority queue. In response, people charged back the PayPal payments they'd made. So many people did this that Housemaster's PayPal actually got suspended. After all that happened, to celebrate Christmas, the 2b2t party committee hosted a build event. They weren't just celebrating Christmas though, but also the 10-year anniversary of 2b2t's existence. Just to point out a few landmarks:
10 years.
The Bedrock comet, made from ice, the Jesus statue, but a snowman, an ice lava cast, the Polar Express, a Christmas tree inside of Wrath Outpost, Cthulhu, and a huge statue of the Camping Rusher. 140 people visited, 78 of whom were there at the same time, which set a new record for the number of players at a single location in one time. To celebrate the end of 2020, the Infinity Incursion and the Brownmen combined forces to build a cube made from over 1 million pieces of TNT. As they were building it, a creeper blew it up. Bruh. So they had to restart. Once they were back in business, they lit it up on New Year's Eve.
The actual lag, I need to get out of here, otherwise my game
FPS
is
1
gonna crash. This is insane.
2021, we made it. 2021 started out pretty slow. The first big event occurred on February 12th, when the motorway extension gurus completed the final diagonal highway. This meant there's now a nether highway going to the world border of every single axis and corner of the world. In March, Dawnfir completed their 20th megabase, Dawnfir 20, with a castle and city, as well as an inverted pyramid and statue.
An inverted pyramid? That is so cool.
In the ruins, the coder 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 2001 wanted to test a program that would write texts on signs automatically. For some reason, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 chose a My Little Pony Fallout crossover fanfiction with over 620,000 words. For reference, that's more than the first 4 Harry Potter books combined. The program was successful because the entire story made it to 2b2t. It only took 55,000 signs. On March 15th, the Infinity Incursion started its 5th and final project, Operation Secret Void. The goal was to bomb out the entire Nether spawn region. Apart from removing just Netherrack, they also mined out all Nether highways except the 4 main axes, forcing players into the easily patrollable locations. When the project concluded 3 months later, after exploding the modest quantity of 5 million TNT, Fit went on an alt to see if this was effective at stopping new players. As he said,
"If I am not executed, I will be highly disappointed."
He was. A few months after this, Baki disbanded the Infinity Incursion. They had done what they set out to do, 5 times in a row. In an interview, he said the reason the group was successful wasn't because of him, but because of COVID. He and tons of other people were playing Minecraft for 16 hours a day, which is not healthy, by the way.
Just because of COVID, everyone was home, no one had anything to do. You will never in your entire life have that much time again.
I know, I've thought about
For
that.
sure not. For
Until I
sure
retire.
That type of group and the projects they did was lightning in a bottle. Now, let's get to the real-life crime of 2b2t. On April 16th, the base Avalicium was destroyed by the Backstreet Boys. The Backstreet Boys got the coordinates from a player named 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, who got them by accessing the Discord account of a base member named Bard. Bard and 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 knew each other in real life, and it's well known that 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 secretly plugged a USB stick into Bard's computer to get the Discord login. This could land you up to 10 years in prison, but that's...
What? Oh my god.
that's not actually what happened. Contrary to the story that was widely circulated, 𝗦𝗡𝗧 never broke the law getting those base chords. 𝗦𝗡𝗧 and Bard were friends, and
I got the base chords, but I never broke the law getting them. It was just a prank, man. Surely getting a Discord login is not $5,000 or more. Oh my god.
had hung out together a fair bit. Eventually, though, they drifted apart. At some point, 𝗦𝗡𝗧 logged into his laptop and realized Discord was open, and Bard was logged in. Front and center was the
That should still be illegal. That should still be illegal.
Avalicium group with the coordinates on prominent display. 𝗦𝗡𝗧 gave those chords to the Backstreet Boys. Why? He was chill with the Backstreet Boys and didn't think through the situation very much. They destroyed the base,
there's no way.
but didn't know how.
This is where guys sometimes, I'm just saying guys, but like people do this. Sometimes people are like, "Oh, I didn't like know." Like they try to play stupid. You freaking knew what you were doing. Also, you didn't log out. You took his coordinates. Anyway, sorry.
Had
what a
the
shitty
chords
friend.
or access Bard's Discord account. That's when the speculation started, and the whole situation got blown way out of proportion. In May, a group called the Ancients ran an event called /place. The coder 𝗏𝗏𝗖𝗜𝗏 created a website where anyone could change the color of 1 pixel on the map, and it was a real map. Rules off coded bots that connected the website to 128 by 128 area on 2b2t itself. When someone placed a pixel, the bots went and placed that block on the server. This meant you could use the maps to watch the event's progress change in real time.
Oh,
in the end,
so
a total of 846 people placed 241,336 pixels. Around this time, an exploiter named CityBoss1 discovered how to make 3D map markers in Minecraft. This lagged his game tremendously, but CityBoss knew this could be weaponized. He recruited 𝗏𝗏𝗖𝗜𝗏 2001, and together they found a way to duplicate map markers, making thousands.
What is the
on
My
their
Little
testing
Pony
server,
thing on the
just a few of these maps placed in one area crashed the server. 2b2t is much more lag resistant, but not immune. They place these 3D
They can never
maps,
have anything
lagging
good.
the server and kicking people back to the queue. 𝗏𝗏𝗖𝗜𝗏 and CityBoss told Fit about what was going on, who showed up. Even with his monster gaming PC, just a few of these maps dropped Fit's frame rate to 2 FPS.
What?
Then they made a map with 40,000 markers and placed it all over the nether highways, at spawn, and in the end. People across the server got lagged and kicked. After that, a map with 700,000 markers completely crashed the server. Years ago, in late 2015, Jared2013
They can never have
destroyed
anything nice
the
in
famous
this world.
InSpace. At least, that's what he thought. But there was this 2b2t legend, this long-standing rumor that the base still existed, and it had been copied and moved with Tristan's backdoor. Even if it did exist, how could anyone possibly find it? There were no chunk trails, no nether tunnels, not one trace. Orsund, Jared's accomplice from Whitehaven, spoke with HermeticLock about the legend of Imps 2. HermeticLock told him, "Dude, I know it exists. I've spoken to people at that base, and it 100% exists." HermeticLock
Nowadays, it's not
talked
as
to Jared
active.
about the exact same thing. Orsund spoke to Fit about this, who revealed he not only knew the base existed, but knew its location. Of course, he wasn't going to reveal its exact chords, but told Orsund he'd let him know if he was on the right track.
Give me the
Orsund told him
chords.
where they suspected the base was.
He's like, I'm not going to tell you, but you can play hot
it's
and
in
cold.
that area. After loads of searching and more hints from Fit, Orsund found it. Exploring the base, he discovered illegally placed spawners, rare items, and other evidence of Tristan's back door. Near the base was a 1,000 by 1,000 block hole to the void. There was also the biggest stash of items he'd ever seen. The items were duped, but it wasn't a dupe stash. They had actually been stolen. Where those items came from, Orsund didn't know, but at this point, it didn't matter. Orsund brought Jared and HermeticLock to the base, and when the Nerds Inc. discovered they were there, they started griefing. It took them a total of 15 hours. They streamed the event, and a bunch of 2b2t players from 2015 joined, just to see them take down Tristan. Orsund, Jared, and HermeticLock might have symbolically ended the historical age of tyranny, but little did they know, they were living through another one right now.
Chills. No come?
Back in 2018, Ox22 and 𝗬𝗬𝗖𝗜𝗦, members of the Nerds Inc., discovered a way to click on blocks outside of their render distance. By clicking on thousands of blocks in thousands of chunks at one time, they could lag the server, and even used it to skip the queue. But then they brought in another Nerds Inc. member, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 get House to report the bug to PaperMC and have them implement the obvious patch. Only make the server respond to a block mining attempt if the chunk they attempted to click was loaded by a player. If this fix was implemented, they'd have a working coordinate exploit. In July 2018, they started crashing the server, and House did exactly what the nerds wanted him to do. He reported the bug. Within a day, the bug fix they were looking for was implemented. Now they could click on any chunk in the server and know if that chunk was loaded, meaning a player was nearby. But to do this effectively, they need to automate it. It took the nerds less than 24 hours to create a working prototype, which clicked blocks around spawn in a spiral pattern, letting them know which chunks were loaded. These were charted on a graph, and Bubba J and Ox22 used it to find, steal, and destroy item stashes. To avoid suspicion, Frickin suggested they call the exploit no comment, or NoCom for short.
Sorry,
for
there
example,
was like a bug on my mic. I was trying to kill it.
Member was asked in an interview what he thinks the most interesting exploit is on the server right now.
Hi, Lava.
No comment.
He was also asked,
no comment,
what are the new updates about you being in Nerds Inc?
In terms of the most interesting right now, I'd have to say no comment.
Bro,
wow,
this
guy's fun.
Even though NoCom was powerful, it was slow.
NoCom.
The nerds recruited 𝗬𝗓𝗏, one of, if not the most skilled programmer in the community. To make the program more efficient, 𝗬𝗓𝗏 made a player tracking system that predicted where players were heading. It also figured out who was in each chunk by looking at when players joined and logged off. He also saved computing power by programming NoCom to know when it didn't need to check very much. For example, if someone wasn't moving at all, the program would only check their chunk every once in a while. If they were moving in a straight line, it had a pretty good idea where they would be. However, if the player disappeared from the system, the program would check where the player might be at a super fast rate until it pinned them down again. If a player was in a certain area for 90 minutes, added up across all the checks, the NoCom program labeled that as a base. Whenever a block was clicked, it returned what type of block it was. If an area was considered to be a base, the program scanned the terrain and looked for unnatural blocks, things that revealed player activity. If it found any blocks of that sort, it would check its neighbors and continue. Using this data, NoCom could load those blocks in
This guy is literally a genius, and he's playing Minecraft.
a separate world, which allowed the nerds to see bases they were millions of blocks away from in real time. Nerds Inc. called this remote viewing.
That is so creepy, because then you could like take pictures of like someone's bed and then like send it to whoever owns the base on Discord and be like, I have eyes on you. Like, I can imagine the mental warfare you could do to someone having this information.
Which 𝗬𝗓𝗏 also optimized. At its height, the NoCom program clicked an average of 3,000 blocks a second across multiple accounts in every dimension on the server. This is how they found Jack the Ripper's Space Valkyria 3. This is how they found Niflheim. This is how they leaked so many bases in the 31 days of 31 griefs. NoCom was so powerful, it could track Housemaster himself. The nerds stationed a couple bots tens of millions of blocks out in the Nether, an area so desolate no one would ever come near it. They used a teleport exploit to get out there. There was an exploit using a hack called packetfly that prevented the anti-cheat from updating your location. To do this, you could move a tiny bit at a time, even through blocks. If you were in the overworld and stopped sending valid movement packets to the server, then went to the Nether, the anti-cheat would think your location was still your overworld coordinates. But as soon as you turned off the hack, you'd update to the Nether coords. Housemaster had a plugin that prevented people from going to the bottom of the world or Nether roof, and if you did, it teleported you to your last valid location. If you did this with Packetfly after coming through a Nether portal, your last valid location was your overworld coordinates, 8 times your Nether coords. That means the only thing this exploit required was an area where all but the bottom layer of Bedrock was clear. which is pretty
Ooh.
common in the Nether. Anyway, the nerds used this 8x teleport exploit to get their accounts way out and watch the area around their bots with it. But then, the data revealed the strangest thing.
What?
There were loaded chunks out there, but way outside the area the bots were in. The chunks were loaded, but no one was in render distance. That could mean only one thing. There was a player in spectator mode watching them.
Thank you,
and the
Dance,
only
for the
person that could
follow.
be is Housemaster.
Housemaster!
NoCom added up the number of chests.
Oh,
at
so that's
every
how they
base-
found him. Oh, that's crazy, but he must be spectating, he must be invisible. Cause yeah, they said earlier that Housemaster could be invisible.
it found in the last week and returned the top 10. Many of the members of Nerds Inc. are high up in the Spawn Masons, so these two groups have a symbiotic relationship. Leger fed the information about the locations with the most chests to the Mason Dectonic. Over 15 months, Leger estimates Dectonic went to over 500 stash locations. Dectonic and other
gosh.
Spawn Masons used it to steal over 200 million Minecraft items.
How do
NoCom's
you even
one
steal that
limitation
much?
is players had to be in the chunks for them to see the area.
Yeah, it's
so there were
2B2T
several instances of the program finding
Anarchy
large
server.
stashes and bases that were actually loaded in by players going there to grief them. Todorak, another Mason, told me whenever one of their own
Don't
bases
call it a
got
Mason.
destroyed, they could look at the data to see exactly who did it. Knowing that, the Masons declared war on them and anyone they were connected with. For example,
Drama.
Chunkhaven. Chunkhaven was a Spawn Mason base built in an
The
area with
rainbow.
a lot of chunk errors. It was griefed by a group of over a dozen players. The Spawn Masons tracked them with NoCom and annihilated their stashes,
seeing so many
bases, and builds to get
names.
revenge. While all this was happening, the Brown Men got suspicious. The nerds had found and stolen from multiple of Mahan, Steve 3, and Redstoner's dupe stashes, which were all in secure locations. The Brown Men knew the nerds had a coordinate exploit of some
Destroyed
kind,
by a girl,
but didn't know
Kinsey.
exactly how it worked. What they did
This is
know
what you get
is it
for
had to do with the
misgendering
accounts
me.
the nerds had online
Base.
24/7. Using an exploit of their own, the Brown Men lagged the
Gary
server
Vlog.
so much that those AFK accounts got kicked, which gave them enough time to build parts of a new stash. They did this by throwing 2011 snowballs, which glitched out the server, lagging most people so much the server kicked them offline. When the nerds accounts got back online, the Brown Men started to lag again. This
What?
allowed them to create an untraceable stash, which grew tremendously when they found a new Donkey duplication glitch.
Another
Redstoner duped
Donkey
with 3
one?
accounts open at once, which overheated his computer so much he had to put it in the freezer. With all this duping, the Brown Men created a dupe stash worth
The
14,000
dedication.
US dollars if they sold
What?
it on the black market. And those items were getting more and more valuable as the nerds and Spawn Masons raided more and more stashes across the server. In November 2020,
You should,
Steve
Lava.
3
That'd be
discovered
so
the
funny.
original Paper MC vulnerability that made NoCom possible. He told Mahan and Redstoner, and with this, they created their own, more primitive version of NoCom. Wanting to completely eliminate the item
The
selling
Shy Guys.
competition, Redstoner used their version of NoCom to destroy the supply of rival shop owners. With an ever-growing
They
monopoly
literally
on the
killed the
market, it took just
competition.
6 months to sell $10,000 of items. The Brown Men also used their primitive NoCom to track live streamers, like FitMC, who they sniped repeatedly. But then, one of their basemates leaked what they knew about the paper vulnerability, and soon every 2B2T player learned there was a powerful coordinate exploit. Knowing NoCom was only hours away from getting fixed, the Brown Men decided to sell it for $20 and just see what would happen. They made $700 doing
What?
that. With the exploit pretty much public, the Nerds
That's
Inc. and the Spawn
crazy that they
Masons went
made
to
money
Spawn
off of
and
this.
annihilated everyone within 30,000 blocks. On July 15th, 2021, Housemaster finally patched the exploit, but the damage had been done.
Oh my
NoCom
gosh.
collected information on 15,000 bases and tracked over 300,000 players in real time. The nerds had already
Jeez.
destroyed Niflheim, and when NoCom went public, DocSmurf learned they knew about Yggdrasil as well. Despite having plans to expand the base, he decided to blow it up himself.
Aww.
In the aftermath of NoCom, Leger released an animation of all player activity around Spawn. He also posted the exploit to GitHub, with a 4K image of the heat map showing a 500,000 by 275,000 block region. The base hunter 𝗫𝗫𝗠𝗧 took the image and recruited his friends to travel to every hotspot on the map. Doing this, they found all kinds of cool bases. Legerv also shared the NOCOM data with Negative Entropy, who made time lapses of bases being built. For example, here's COVID-2147, Entropy's own Firebending Masters, Electric Boogaloo, and Whitehaven. Speaking of Whitehaven, the base was found by a hunter
I don't like
a
the
few
name of
months
that
before
one.
NOCOM went public. The hunter started
Whitehaven?
posting images of the base, so the builders knew they didn't have much time left. Together, they made a final push to finish it, adding pathways, carts, and other small details. The base was destroyed not too long after that. With Moo Meabase, Entopia, and Whitehaven all gone, Crowbar wanted to build something new. Back in July of 2020, he discovered a chain of 5 mushroom islands, millions of blocks from spawn. In his mind's eye, Crowbar could see a magnificent castle on each island, with distinct styles and structures. Crowbar had enjoyed working with a team at Whitehaven, so he assembled the Avengers of base building.
The Avengers, bro?
Geigo, Dark XL6, and Joey Coconut. SMCZ built
He literally
the
assembled the
Atlantis-themed
Avengers.
Atlantic. Geigo built the
The
Celestial
Minecraft Adventure
Celestis.
movie.
Dark XL6 built the medieval meets modern
Oh, that
Exile,
is actually
and Joey
really cool,
Coconut
the lightning.
built the mushroom-themed Amnesia. Crowbar himself took the island of Phenomena, terraforming the landscape
Phenomena.
to an extreme degree while building trees. One of them got struck by lightning and burnt down, so Crowbar built a sky roof to prevent that from happening again. He added a fleet of
Whoa.
ships and a coral reef, not to mention the build's main attraction, an explosive black sphere. He and Joey Coconut created an airship battle, which looks insane. Crowbar
That is
outdoes
so
himself
cool.
every single time. After NOCOM, the server was finally getting back to normal. People's bases were leaked and destroyed, yes, but as Crowbar exemplifies, that's just an opportunity to start anew and do something better. In August, Ken, the dude behind Fight Club, founded a 2B2T newspaper with his friend Franknificent. They called it the 2B2T Times. Every week, they released a
News!
new article on the map, distributed
Oh,
across
that's so
the server.
cool.
The article topics were voted on democratically by the Discord members and written up and then placed on the map with bots. The stories were about different server events, like a potential update, community controversies, and the biggest events of 2B2T. A few weeks
Wow.
after Fit made a video on the newspaper, Ken posted an article called 10 Rules. Contrary to popular belief, 2B2T does have rules. Below is a list of things that you may be punished for on 2B2T. 1. Advertising in chat. 2. Talking about Walden. 3.
Who's
Using
Walden?
lag exploits. 4. Talking about doxing. 5.
True.
Speaking unkindly about Housemaster in chat. 6. Duping items. 7. Spamming chat. 8. Using exploits to ban large amounts of players. 9. Refunding your priority queue. 10. Talking about the rules and punishments in chat. Ken woke up the next day to find the maps reset and every one of
Talking
his
about the
accounts
rules in
priority
chat
banned.
get you
He
banned?
decided that was enough and left the project. The rules and punishments you're not supposed to talk about are fairly extensive, anywhere from a soft mute to a total blacklist. Here's a full list provided to me by Steve3. In September, Armorsmith's followers used a method of dropping sand through cobwebs to annihilate the server's TPS. They chunk banned a lot of people, removing their priority queue, and, well, you know the drill. While all this was happening, the biggest base in 2B2T history was made. Not biggest in terms of size, but in terms of most contributors. It was founded by a player named Rathouse, who called it Rat House. The base was within 50,000 blocks of spawn, but he didn't care. He invited a few friends, but in June of 2021, the base exploded. Tons of people from the Spawn Masons, Astral Brotherhood, Guardsmen, Block Gamers, Imperium, Drain Gain, Althernos, and Whitehaven showed up to contribute. There, Todorak brought 38 people together to all die from a single end crystal, which was a new server record. In total, the base had 104 inhabitants. Finally, in October 2021, someone gave the coordinates to Jared 2013. What's astounding is how long the base lasted with so many people involved. Meanwhile, 𝗬𝗠𝗠𝗔𝗡𝗦 2001, the homie who placed 55,000 signs of My Little Pony meets Fallout crossover, built the biggest map art 2B2T had ever seen, 27 by 16, or 432 maps. Based on Leger's no-com render with the names of bases at their locations, 𝗬𝗠𝗠𝗔𝗡𝗦 made a program that placed 7 million blocks. Using a website 𝗬𝗠𝗠𝗔𝗡𝗦 made back in 2019, it was pretty easy to turn the image into a map art schematic. This website, Map Art Craft, is how 2B2T map artists bring their art to the server. 𝗬𝗠𝗠𝗔𝗡𝗦 was also instrumental in protecting people with what might be the most dangerous exploit 2B2T had ever seen. Strike that. The most dangerous exploit Minecraft had ever seen.
Oh no.
On December 10th, 2021, the log4j vulnerability leaked to the public. Imagine joining a Minecraft server, seeing a strange message in chat, and then going about your day. In that tiny sequence of events, a hacker got access to your entire computer and could see everything on it. Files, passwords, banking information. This was all done with a single string of characters, and could be done on every single server in Minecraft. Learning about this, 2B2T shut down completely and only came back online when the original vulnerability was fixed. Many people thought there might be a workaround. 𝗲𝗡22, one of the masterminds behind NoCom, started running some experiments. He typed a different string in chat, and suddenly every single player on 2B2T saw their computer's calculator app open, and a pop-up that said, "Hello from Minecraft."
That is so creepy. I would literally burn my computer. That is terrifying. That is like one of the scariest things ever.
RCE exploit. This terrified the player base, but 𝗲𝗡22 didn't mean to do harm. In fact, he did it to help people. 𝗲𝗡 quickly wrote some code that players could run on their computer to protect them against the vulnerability in the future. And what better way to run that code on people's computers than by using the exploit itself? 𝗲𝗡22 forcefully ran the patch for every person on 2B2T, using the exploit to destroy the exploit. 𝗬𝗠𝗠𝗔𝗡𝗦 also helped people protect themselves, sacrificing.
So he was a villain? So that way he could be a hero? That's crazy. That's how those there's like people that are really good hackers, and then the government will literally, like, cybersecurity, and they break through cybersecurity. Instead of the government like punishing them, like putting them in jail, the government's like, actually you should work for us because you know what you're doing.
Sleep to aid people in the community. But
he's a good guy
not
villain.
Everyone was so generous. Steve3, Redstoner, and 𝗲𝗡𝗏 also found a workaround to the log4j and used it to access people's Minecraft accounts. Once again, wanting to take out the item selling competition, Redstoner targeted the owners of rival item shops to destroy
These
their
guys are
supply.
so lame.
He also logged into well-known accounts, leaked their base coordinates, destroyed their e-chests.
Okay, their shop and their stuff is so bad, the only way they could have like a market is if they destroy everybody else's. That is mean. Like, that's how bad your stuff is. It's not like something to brag about.
And sent them back to spawn. 12 hours later, 2B2T shut down again until the exploit was fully patched. This answers the age-old question. Will joining 2B2T hack my PC? The answer is no, but potentially yes.
I'm not logging in. There's no way I'm gonna join this server.
The Brownman used to get
I'm glad I
people's
watched this video
while they were searching
before
for
it
what
ever got
eventually
mentioned to me.
became NoCom, they actually discovered another coordinate exploit, an alternate method to see if chunks were loaded. If they opened a chest, then used a client to act like their player was in a specific chunk, the game would reveal if that chunk was loaded or not. If the chunk wasn't loaded, the chest stayed open, but if it was, it would close. Thus, they had a way to see which chunks were loaded or not. The coder Romtech made a bot do a spiral pattern 24/7 and helped Steve3, 𝗲𝗏𝗏, and Redstoner to create a system to track players. Because of his contributions, they named this exploit Romcom. They added capabilities to track
Not the
players
Romcom
through
incident.
dimensions and got to the point where they were following hundreds of people a day. They used this to follow Fit's account, 𝗏𝗏𝗠𝗔𝗡𝗦. to a base. Romcom continued to reveal bases and stashes, but Housemaster caught on to what they were doing and patched the exploit. The
Let's
Brown
go,
Men gave the data to
Housemaster.
the Backstreet Boys, who used it to grief a bunch of bases.
They're
On
mad.
December 13th, the Spawn Masons went public with their biggest project ever,
The
Skymasons.
Skymasons?
This mega base was started towards the end of NOCOM and
This is
utilized
so
the
cool.
insane stashes they'd created. They started streaming the base live, which is the biggest invitation for griefers ever, but
Yeah,
no one could find it.
it's not good.
How? The Masons had a couple tricks up their sleeve. First, they removed any possibility of people using the terrain exploit. To hide all natural terrain, they excavated a square over 1,000 blocks wide all the way down to Bedrock, destroying tens of millions of blocks in the process. Next, they filled the bottom area with the Masons logo
pinwheels?
and their skins. Totorak built the center island using a custom version of Baritone built into Schematica. The island itself took 100 hours to build, but Totorak himself only
Only
had to check in
100
every once in a
hours?
while to make sure the program was still running. The reason this took so long is because he made the island solid. After the base was built, Negative Entropy, Joey Coconut, and others decorated it with a castle and details. While the Masons
Wow.
had hundreds of millions of items, they needed a way to sort them. That's when Lejerv came in, clutching up with that programming knowledge. He created a bot
Nice.
system that combed through every single shulker of items in their stashes, tracking its contents to a private website. If a Mason needed some items, all they
Whoa.
had to do was request it from the bot army that would then go and retrieve it. Only the bots knew exactly where everything was. The Spawn
Whoa,
Masons
that is
wanted
so
to invite
cool.
different builders to the base, but given the scope of the project, they only trusted a few people to have the actual location. What they did instead was absolutely genius. The Masons coded a proxy that
Bot
put you
slaves.
onto an account
No.
on 2v2t at the Skymasons, but with the packets altered. Those altered packets hid the base by adding an offset to all the coordinates. The
That's a good
proxy
point.
also
If you were gonna
immediately
play on
kicked
an
you
Anarchy
if you
server,
got certain items, like
have a
TNT.
throwaway
But
Minecraft
it would
account
do
and
the
a throwaway
same if you threw an
computer.
Eye of Ender or placed a snow golem or
Hi,
bone meal.
Typhon.
The reason was these could all reveal the real location of the base. On top of that, the bedrock pattern and block rotations were all routed to a fake location, 20 million blocks out. This allowed the
Dang.
Masons to livestream themselves at the base without any fear of leaking the coordinates. Well, Mothra was live streaming and accidentally showed Bedrock, which some Russian
Oh
griefers
no,
found the
not
coordinates of.
Bedrock. They
They
could
spent weeks
analyzing,
traveling the
zooming,
tens of millions
coordinating.
of blocks away
They're there
only
already.
to find nothing. Even without it getting leaked,
Scanning.
multiple base hunters stumbled upon the real location by chance. One was following an old chunk trail, another a nether portal. With a request to keep quiet, those people were invited to join the base and build there. This thing is
Yay.
insane. Construction of Skymasons continued well into 2022, where we are now. Just a couple weeks
2022.
into January, Project Linked Horizon Sky was completed. This was started by the player 𝗤𝗚𝗖𝗜𝗍𝗍, who wanted
Omega
to
lol.
build 3 circular obsidian walls around spawn,
Whoa.
inspired by the walls from Attack on Titan. He spoke with his friends and realized only one wall was feasible, but they'd make it 3 blocks thick at a 2048 block radius. This would require 8 million obsidian, so they spoke to their
Okay.
dealer.
How are they
Thebes and
gonna do
Sound.
this?
Thebes had a practically infinite supply of obsidian left over from his chunk dupe stash from Moo Meabase, and he
Mhm.
was happy to help. They started placing obsidian with the players 𝗞𝗬𝗠𝗔𝗡𝗜𝗏, 𝗬𝗏𝗏, and Badicope contributing a combined total of 6.6 million obby. Another 100 people placed the rest. After it was finished,
Oh
they
my
decided to
gosh.
build a roof, which they estimated would require another 8 million obsidian.
need 8
Since there were a
Gorgillion
number of spawn
amount.
logos in the area already, they didn't have to place everything, but it still ended up being way over budget at 13 million obsidian. On January
Yeah.
16th, they finished after placing a total of 21 million obby.
Wow.
Why? On the topic of insane 2b2t projects, which has basically been this entire video, the 256k world download went public on February 26th.
What is this?
Started by Lamp, who got the help of 16 other people to download and combine everything, the project found some fascinating stuff. First, the downloaders looked for hotspots of chests and shulkers and raided a bunch of stashes. They also looked at chunk data and proved that the current 2b2t map started in February 2011, proving
Whoa.
that it had been reset. The reason for this is the oldest chunks on the server were from a version released that month. The downloaders made
That
a
is
bunch of cool
crazy
maps,
they could
like the
find that
location
out.
of every sign, banners, and holes in the bedrock. Combined, the file is 1.06 terabytes.
Oh my
In March,
gosh.
the Highway Workers Union definitively won the Obsidian measuring contest.
That's a suspicious amount of terabytes.
By building a 10,000 by 10,000 block version of their logo, taking 28.1 million obsidian. 16 members built this in the Nether, meaning they had to clear 56 million netherrack, requiring over 9,000 pickaxes. These projects
could do
would
that
not
easy.
be possible without large-scale automation, which the Workers Union most definitely used. They implemented both
Wow.
the Highway Tools program and Baritone. The Highway
That's
Workers
really
Union
cool that they
also
could do that.
contributed to the Astral Brotherhood's Obsidian Isle. The Astral Brotherhood
That is-
constructed
okay, this is
huge
my
obsidian
favorite.
structures like an X-Wing, Squid Games, Harambe, and Joey Coconut's Pride Fort,
Squid
which he
Games!
spent months designing. Some
Where's the
people tried to
MrBeast
grief it,
land?
but they found that quite difficult, given that everything was made from obsidian. 2 years later, the build is still practically untouched. On March 31st,
Dang.
the player YQE recorded himself playing Skyblock. This wasn't a single-player world. He did it while on 2b2t. YQE and his friends had spent months clearing out a 130 by 130 area. They also used a method with nether portals to remove what amounted to 51,254 bedrock. Because of 2b2t's lower
What?
render distance, in the middle, you can only see void. Not too long after that, the player Harrison arrived at the negative end corner, the same corner Armorsmith had reached in 2017. But Harrison had a way of bringing people to him. The boat teleport exploit.
Of
If he pushed a boat
course.
into an end gateway, the boat would appear at end spawn for a fraction of a second, at which point someone at end spawn could hop in. Then the boat would get
Oh.
teleported back to its original location,
Whoa.
43 million blocks away. Harrison brought dozens of friends
That's
and
so
associates to
cool.
the corner, where they built the corner base. Eventually, the fifth column was able to trick one of the members of the corner to teleport Orson there, leading to the base's destruction. While this was going on, a group called Maxi Taxi's Interdimensional Customs Control guarded end spawn, preventing any of the end corner base mates from going back to the corner. In order to
Dang.
document 2b2t history and have a good time, DigMC, a YouTuber who made real deal videos about 2b2t,
YouTuber?
started the Digcast. He interviewed all kinds of players,
Digcast?
like Jack the Ripper, Hermetic Lock, Negative Entropy, and more in long-form style. I have incredible respect for DigMC. He actually made the original entire history of 2b2t, I guess, video, which greatly aided in this project. That summer,
Yeah, that
Dawnfir
video looked
wanted
like
to
it
do
aged
a
really
big
well.
publicity project to get people hyped about the group again. So they went and rebuilt Aurea City. The Guardsmen had done that before, but not to this extent. They started by removing lava casts and the rest of the
Ooh,
damage
city
griefers had done.
rebuild.
Then they sculpted the terrain and added each building back, block for block.
Nice.
It only took them 7 days. The hype around Aurea
that's
City
so
and a
fast.
change in Dawnfir's recruitment strategy greatly increased their size. They moved away from website applications to a Discord bot, and their member count jumped from 60 people to 200 in just a few months.
Whoa.
While this was going on, though, they were essentially at war with the Backstreet Boys. And the reasons why are pretty simple. Building groups like
Words I
Dawnfir
thought I'd
get
never
clout
hear.
by
At
building cool
war with the
bases, and griefing
Backstreet
groups
Boys.
like the Backstreet Boys get clout by griefing cool bases. The Backstreet Boys kept applying to Dawnfir on secret accounts, got access to their starter bases, and then gave those coords to the main group. That isn't to
these
say that
Backstreet
building
Boys.
is risky. It's only risky if you allow unknown or untrustworthy people to join. For an example of what happens when everyone can be trusted, Joey Coconut, Lord Galvatron, and SMCZ founded Dubrovnik in August of 2022. Inspired by Whitehaven and the real-life city of the same name, they wanted to build a base with a cool medieval feel to it. The builders
this is so
invited the rest
sick.
of their group, the
Oh, the
Astral Brotherhood,
flags.
and got to work. More than 50 people contributed, and the base lasted over half a year. That's pretty wild, especially considering it was less than 1,000 blocks off the Nether Highway. Take a look at this
Ooh.
render. A huge ship, bay, castle, city, and meteor. After Dubrovnik was destroyed, the Brotherhood moved to 𝗤𝗏𝗔𝗟𝗦. Speaking of impressive bases, let's get back to the Skymasons. By now, Skymasons was right up there with Moo Meabase as the largest base to ever exist on the server. They'd placed over 10 million blocks to create dozens upon dozens of unique builds. But nothing lasts forever.
No.
In October, one of the members of the Masons gave the coordinates to the Masons' #1 enemy, the 5th column. The griefing group led by
a double
Orson.
agent.
The 5th column had to confirm the coordinates were real, but they knew the Masons were on high alert. If anyone came within render distance of Legion's bots, the bots would send a message in Discord to the Masons raising the alarm. Luckily for the 5th column, Housemaster himself came in clutch. On October 3rd, House opened up the 2b2t test server to experiment with the stability of 1.19 with 2b2t's exact map. 𝗞𝗬𝗠𝗔𝗡𝗜𝗏 of the 5th column traveled to the coordinates of the test server, saw just enough to confirm they were legit, and then left. On October 5th, they struck. The 5th column descended on Skymasons like a swarm of locusts, destroying everything in their path. They were even joined by Storm Surge, the Minecraft group that practically invented griefing all the way back in 2011. Skymasons was so large, it took the 5th column 3 hours to obliterate the whole thing.
3
to
hours?
prevent the Masons from using the test server as a backup,
Sorry,
one
babe, I
player,
gotta
ZeroNet,
grief this
decided to
Minecraft
destroy
server for
that
the next 3
himself.
hours.
Without the
No, I
help
can't
of a
hang out
griefing
with
group,
you.
it took him 30 hours. But the Skymason stash was just one of the Spawn Masons' many. The proxy system to hide the coordinates worked. It was human error that led to the base's downfall. That means there's nothing stopping them from building a secret base of this caliber again. Not deterred at all by the destruction of their base, the Spawn Masons continued hanging out and building. 𝗏𝗏𝗖𝗜𝗏𝗦
This
and the
comment is
Astral Brotherhood
insane.
gathered about 50,000 blocks from Spawn for the Great Spawn Migration, which the Masons joined as well. They created large builds, all inspired by the idea of things that can move that shouldn't. For example, alright, I'ma head out. Everything here is in motion. While all this was going on, the YouTuber 𝗏𝗡𝗏𝗏 was directing a project to put the nail in the coffin of every group's Obsidian measuring contest. He kept getting annoyed seeing all the Obsidian Sky logos, so he
The
thought,
Tesla
what if
logo
we
is
build a
crazy.
10,000 by 10,000 Obsidian square above Spawn? With the help from the Conquest
that's
group,
pretty funny.
they made good progress, but were struggling with Obsidian sourcing and automation. He made a video on the project, leading to a total of 800 people to join the Discord, but only 9 of them persevered enough to contribute. They did this in secret, leading many people to believe the project had died. So, it took on a new codename, Project Dead. While previous 2b2t Obsidian projects may have used slave labor, these guys used robot labor instead.
Robot
the group Spectrum
labor!
got together and helped complete the automation, allowing
long
them
as
to
it's
place
not
tens of
slaves.
millions of obsidian without being at their computers at all. This completely covered the Spawn Masons Obsidian logo. The final block of obsidian was placed on October 23rd, 2022. During all
it's a
this,
copy
the Spawn
pasta.
Masons were
Okay.
beefing with the 5th column, but they weren't the only group the 5th column was going after. The Southern Canal Association was expanding the infrastructure Thebes and Sound began 8 years before, with the goal of extending it 500,000 blocks from Spawn. To stop the canal's progress, the 5th column went ahead of the canal builders and constructed an obsidian recreation of the Evergreen cargo ship that blocked the Suez Canal in 2021. This led to the Battle of the Suez. During this conflict, people realized an easy way to grief the canal was to fill it with obsidian. Thus, the Southern Highway Association was born, which paved the canal over with obby. Toward the end of the year, over at Crowbar's 5 Isles, disaster struck. The player 6WJ was traveling in the Nether when he stumbled across the stash that connected the isles. He and his friend 𝗞𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏 stole everything, then contacted Crowbar. Knowing their base was compromised, Crowbar and 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 hit the self-destruct button so no one could profit from selling the base's coordinates. I learned about this
Nice,
story
that's
from the
smart.
YouTuber 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, whose 2b2t history videos have been instrumental for this video's research. He's linked down below. Wanting to get away from the drama to do something cool for the holiday season, Hermeticlock invited
just
a
need to
bunch
get away
of
from the
well-known
drama.
2b2t players and friends to the Midnight Council, a 2B2T
What?
cult based on the real-life Bohemian Grove. One requirement for joining was you had to leave behind all of your outside items and start anew in the forest. They
Oh my
built in the woods,
God.
engaged in cultish activity, and built an owl statue. Really, it was just an excuse to hang out with the
And
boys
built
on
an
2B2T.
owl
If you go to
statue.
the Midnight Council website, you can click and hold to assess the current threat level. What do you find? It's threat level midnight. To celebrate Christmas, the 2B2T Party Committee, in association with the Spawn Builders Association, hosted the 2022 Christmas Party. This thing looks
Aw.
amazing. Speaking
That's
of
so
the Spawn
cute.
Builders Association, they were super active this year, building
I
over
love that
60
angel
bases near and around Spawn. Things slowed down a little on 2B2T post-lockdown, which is completely expected. No longer can everyone afford to play 16 hours a day, but it's still remarkable what people accomplished. Now let's move to 2023. Early on in the year, a bunch of people
2023.
got together for an event called Connect 4. This was
Aw.
run by Sven, who invited a large number of groups to compete in the event, including
so
Dawnfir
cool.
and the Astral Brotherhood. The organizers had a lot of overlap with the Backstreet Boys, who Dawnfir was still very much not a fan of. Because of this, Dawnfir sabotaged the event, griefing the locations before things even got
I'm not
started.
a
That
fan of this.
was a big mistake. Now their enemies didn't just include the Backstreet
Uh-oh.
Boys, but everyone else at the event too. Dawnfir made the same mistake Infrared did with the United Group
Dawnfir
Embassy.
made a ton of
Dawnfir
everyone
lost a
as
bunch
his
of bases
enemy.
as a result of this, and Deedloaded,
Oh, the
the
misery.
leader, realized they overstepped. He took action to bring Dawnfir's focus back towards building. One of the ways he did this was with Project Mirror. In a creative mode world, Deedloaded designed a base with domes and towers. Then he used World Edit to invert it, but changed the color scheme to include light and dark. With the design complete, Dawnfir now just needed to bring it to 2B2T. Because of its immense height,
That's so
Project
cool.
Mirror required a large area excavated down to bedrock. Not wanting to go through the grueling effort the Spawn Masons did for Skymasons, Dawnfir thought about what they needed. They realized there was a perfect spot for the build, the hole made by 𝗬𝗓𝗏 near 𝗬𝗏𝗏 2. At the hole, Dawnfir began construction, but one member put in hours far above the rest. His
Who?
name was Darkomir, and he absolutely carried. In honor of his
Aw.
contributions, Dawnfir named the entire build after him. Its official title, The Dark Mirror. On June 3rd,
That's so
Dawnfir posted the Dark
cool.
Mirror's cinematics to their YouTube channel. Despite a shot that clearly reveals the build
Cinematic
location as
film?
𝗬𝗓𝗏's hole, it took almost 2 months for it to get found and griefed. While all that was going on, the Ancients and Spawn
Wow.
Masons got together to build an aquarium in the Spawn water cube. Despite how quickly things get destroyed in Spawn, the builders knew how hard it is to actually
that a
grief
Magikarp?
underwater. They built 50 fish in 4 days, while the Ancients member
Pokemon.
Rules Off made a website with a live map of the water cube. In the
That
end,
is so
42
cool.
different people constructed over
Oh, the people that
100
make
builds.
maps are just
Incredible.
awesome.
In the latter part of June, Joey Coconut, SMCZ, Todorak, and Yomoboyo stumbled upon the remnants of an old Spawn base called Fort Concord. Searching through the internet, they found a world download of the base and repaired it. Just 30,000 blocks from Spawn, they originally just planned to build a large sheep, but they just started adding to it. This became a full-scale base for the Astral Brotherhood. The group invited
Oh, the
different people to
sheep.
join and contribute,
Huge
and things
sheep.
just spiraled from there. They
Is that the
invited their
Titanic?
friends, who invited their friends, and as the base got larger, it became easier for people to just stumble across it. More
Oh,
than
yeah.
a dozen people did, but they joined to contribute as well. By the end, 123 unique players made their mark on the base, breaking the record set by Rat House 2 years before.
Whoa.
With so many people, it was rare to have fewer than 10 people online working on it at the same time.
That is
Joey
so
told me
cool.
sometimes 25% of every player on 2B2T at one moment was at Fort Concord. We have a battleship, Godzilla, Pacific Rim, a particle accelerator, Tron, and so many other features. And
Tron.
with 120 unique players, how did it not get leaked? Joey said that everyone had friends at the base, which gave them a personal stake. And some of the people invited were griefers themselves, but they wanted to help too. Maybe the community is actually maturing. Crazy
Yeah,
to
I
see
think
how
so.
far
The
2B2T
it must be
players have come.
maturing because I'm
If
seeing
I'm gonna
less
be
and less of
completely
like
honest, apart from what I
racist
just
stuff.
mentioned, not too much was going on in 2023. It finally seemed people were running out of things to do while being stuck in Minecraft 1.12. That's why Housemaster was testing 2B2T's
he's
compatibility
gonna update
with
it.
1.19. He started experimenting with a new system called Folia, which allows servers to split their maps into separate sections, which all run separately but also together. This could revolutionize 2B2T. One of
Yeah.
House's tests
Then it won't
had
be as
over
laggy.
600 players online at one time with close to perfect TPS. That
Whoa.
is unheard of. 2B2T normally ran at less than half of that player count with often struggling TPS.
That is
Updating
crazy.
might finally be possible. In early August, the server announced updating to 1.19 soon.
Let's go.
On the 12th, the tab screen announced updating to 1.19
It's a Christmas
on Monday.
miracle.
Monday, August 14th
Look how
rolled
many
around,
people.
and boom, the server went offline for a bit, and when it came back online, it was running 1.19. This
way.
was over half a decade in the making. 2B2T had been on 1.12 since 2017, watching Minecraft updates roll by. The aquatic update,
That's
Village and
crazy.
Pillage, Buzzy Bees, the Nether revamp, Caves and Cliffs. But now, all that and the 1.19 Wild update were on 2B2T. Housemaster made an announcement post on the Reddit and a new 2B2T website talking about the changes. He mentioned that the server could host tons more people without lag. Map IDs were also randomized, which would make it impossible to reset other people's maps. Render distance was increased. World generation was also changed to fix terrain exploits. Now people could post screenshots and videos of their bases and not worry about getting found. He also fixed animal spawning and removed phantoms. All of this was unquestionably epic. What was not epic though
It's so
were
epic.
the other changes.
Oh,
and
no.
boy, did this cause
Not
a
the
firestorm.
anti-cheat.
Before we get to that, if the amount of work that's gone into this video doesn't convince you to subscribe, I don't know what will. As House stated, certain
I will
items have been
subscribe.
removed or have had their stack size reduced to 1, with the intent of players working to obtain these again. For example, End Crystals removed, Bottle of Enchanting reduced, Enchanted Golden Apple reduced, Totem of Undying removed.
What?
The full list of affected items was over 30 long. House also trimmed chunks that players had only spent moments in to try reduce 2B2T's unfathomable
that's
file
valid,
size.
though.
He also removed illegally placed Bedrock and implemented an anti-X-ray plugin. What? Players were furious. This was not the
Anti-X-ray?
anarchy they signed up for. 2B2T promised
is
it
an
would never
anarchy.
reset, but reset is exactly what Housemaster did. And the server with no rules now had a rules list? Alright, bro. People across the community united under the 2B2T Union group,
Oh my
denouncing the
gosh.
update. They requested refunds for their priority queue payments
No,
and vowed
they're
to
gonna shut
quit
down
the
his
server
PayPal
unless
again.
things changed. And people did. Groups like the Astral Brotherhood and the Last Templar both moved to Constantium, another Anarchy server. Salcy1 himself posted a video requesting he get a refund of priority queue and suggested everyone else do the same. He was incensed that Housemaster set a new precedent where he could intervene in the server however he wanted. Sal said he'd quit posting 2B2T content entirely, no longer giving the server any free advertising. Housemaster exchanged emails with
Dang.
Sal in a passive-aggressive manner, but the community was not going to back down. Finally, after 10 days, House relented
He's
to the
gonna
better
roll
wishes of the
back. It's like, I'm petty, and I would have just deleted the server. I'd have been like, you know what? No. Bye bye. What big babies, man.
community and posted an apology on the website and made a Reddit poll with 3 options. 1. Rollback without item economy reset. 2. Rollback without item economy reset without trunk trimming. 3. No rollback. The vast majority of people were in favor of the rollback and without chunk trimming as well. Following the outcome of the poll, House rolled back the server.
Wow.
1.19 was here, baby, and it was here to stay. Now that the oldest Anarchy server in Minecraft was back to being actual Anarchy, the Astral Brotherhood, Last Templar, and other groups and players returned to 2B2T.
These people
this
hate
whole thing was
change.
such a massive debacle. But why? Why would House shoot the server in the foot like that? 2B2T's whole thing is Anarchy, and this completely spit in the face of that. Some believe he wanted to combat item selling to better abide by Minecraft's EULA. Others believe this was to move more in line with Microsoft itself, who's been making Minecraft more and more kid-friendly recently. We can't be certain, but now that 2B2T was on 1.19, players new and old alike came to the server to see it for themselves. Jack the Ripper
Yay.
returned because he could finally build with all the features Minecraft had to offer. But he wasn't the only one. A group called the Greybeard Geezers established
The
a new base
Geezers.
called Geezertown 6. The
Geezer
Geezers, by the
Town.
way, are a group of older 2B2T players. Not old in
Oh
the
my
sense
God,
that
are
they
they
have
like
to be
50?
an OG player. Old in the
50
real life
plus
sense
year
of
old?
you have to have lived at least 25 years of life to join. While all this was going on,
What?
Franknificent was busy. He was building the 2B2T Museum, a record of the server's history on the server. This was done with builds, books, map arts, and banners. The project
so
started in late
cool.
2022 and progressed further when 𝗦𝗢𝗓𝗦 joined.
25
the museum
years
was
old is
completed on
geezer
September
age.
9th. Before it was destroyed by the fifth column, it contained 64 statues of notable players and a bunch of books about different server events. No longer on
Wow.
Constantium, the Last
That's
Templar
really cool,
celebrated
actually.
its 5th anniversary. Each year they created a large spawn monument inspired by Wrath Outpost, 10,000 blocks out on each highway. The first anniversary
saw
took
Pop Bob?
100,000
Where?
obsidian. The second took 125,000. The third took 200,000, built around the spawn canal. The fourth took 500,000
Oh, that's
obsidian
sick.
with an
I love
additional
those statues.
80,000 beacons, featuring 8 gigantic statues. The fifth,
Mhm.
celebrated in 2023, was 20,000 blocks from spawn. On October
Oh my
20th,
God.
𝗦𝗢𝗓𝗦 made a Reddit post about a coordinate exploit. As she detailed, 6
Oh,
months
as one of the
before, the community
statues.
started
Yeah, he's a
noticing
big-
something
he's a big
strange
player in
across
this
the
whole
server.
thing.
Inexplicably, a player named 𝗏𝗏𝗏 appeared at various
𝗏𝗏𝗏.
bases and stashes, and then would leave without taking anything. Soon after that, another account named 1248 Test User would appear, stealing everything, only to disappear without a trace.
Okay,
Enigma
well,
confirmed what
we
she
know
knew.
who that
𝗏𝗏𝗏
is.
and 1248 Test User were part of a covert operation to raid item shops, armed with a clandestine coordinate exploit, and they were controlled by the Spawn Masons. But how did this exploit work? Well,
What?
it all has to do with Minecraft RNG. When Notch was coding Minecraft, he made all Minecraft events share the same RNG. This means the RNG, or random number generator, behind world generation and in-game events are the same. The locations of mob spawns and where villages appear come from the same random source. This allows
Oh.
people way smarter than me to actually manipulate Minecraft RNG, like the Prototech and Psycraft
That's-
servers. In the
How?
context of
You couldn't
Anarchy, though,
manipulate
a player
RNG?
named 𝗏𝗏𝗏 realized something earth-shattering. Every time a chunk is loaded, the game tries to spawn in a woodland mansion using world.rand.setSeed. When a block is mined,
Science
its drop
craft.
location is determined by world.rand. The same thing, meaning the dropped item location is determined by the most recent woodland mansion check, which is the most recently loaded chunk. That means if you break a block and see its drop location, you can determine the most recently loaded chunk. After perfecting the exploit on another server, 𝗏𝗏𝗏 joined 2B2T
I feel like
and
I'm too
swiftly
stupid for
found
this.
one of the server's most secretive locations,
Oh, that's a cool
spawn
location.
mason stash. When 𝗏𝗏𝗏 arrived, Leger's alarm system activated, and the Masons went on red alert. The Masons reached out to
Red alert.
𝗏𝗏𝗏 and learned he found their stash with the coordinate exploit, which he decided to share with Leger, 𝗏𝗏𝗖𝗜𝗓, and Negative Entropy.
Oh,
With
that's
that,
nice.
NoCom was back, but this time they called it Randar. Unlike NoCom though, they
Randar.
could only determine where people were. Randar didn't have the remote viewing capabilities NoCom did. The Spawn Masons created an account named 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 to scout out base and stash locations.
There's competitions to find world seeds where you have to break as much gravel as possible for you to get flint, for example. I just don't even understand how people find this stuff out. This is so cool.
found with Randar, but it wouldn't grief. If the location was something worth raiding, they sent another account, 1248 test user, to do the dirty work. Word spread that 𝗏𝗏 was finding all these different stashes, and the community started to name this unknown coordinate exploit the 𝗏𝗏 exploit. During all this, just
He
by
got an
chance,
exploit named
the
after
base
him.
hunter
Let's
of
go.
Magnum found one of the spawn mason stashes and started stealing it. The Masons talked to him and made a deal. As long as he didn't blow up the stash, he could take 50% of it uncontested. Magnum agreed and
Inglourious
started to
Basterds
steal
movie?
his half. The way you steal a stash millions of blocks from your base is actually pretty simple. You set an ender pearl at your base, go to the stash, and then set your spawn point there. Then you load your ender pearl with a second account, throw another pearl, die to respawn at the stash, and repeat. Leisure has bots that do this automatically, but Magnum was doing it manually. But what he didn't realize, though, is the Mason's deal was all a ruse. They used Randar to follow him to his base and stole everything back a few weeks later. At
A
another
double
point,
cross.
the Masons used Randar to find an item shop stash and began to steal it. But then the owner caught them and killed him. The owner moved the stash to a new location, but the Masons watched him do it with Randar. When he logged off, they went to the new stash location and stole that. The exploit was patched when 2b2t updated to 1.19, so the Masons started using their coordinate backlog to attack stashes as fast as possible. Their total item worth jumped to over 1 billion because of this.
Oh my
Things
gosh.
settled with 1.19, almost like a fresh
Having
start
more
in a way.
items you'll
In
ever
October,
need,
Joey Coconut brought
ever.
every group under the sun together for everyone base. And then the 5th column got the location and destroyed it. With new content in 1.19 comes new exploits. For example, the player Toker built a chicken farm so large it lagged his game. Normally, if there's more than 24 entities in a single block, some of them start to die from entity cramming. However, if they're on a vine, that won't be the case. Toker realized this could be weaponized, so he went and built chicken lag machines all over spawn. He also created machines to dispense eggs through portals. If someone loaded the chunks on the other side, their game would lag tremendously because it had to spawn in hundreds or thousands of chickens at once. Deloaded and Dawnfir launched Operation KFC. Destroy all chicken lag machines. What can I say?
KFC?
Average 2v2t conflict right here. At the same time, Hermetic Luck brought everyone together for the 2nd annual Midnight Council. Once again, there was a lot of live action role-playing, and it was a lot of fun for the people who came together. 1.19 gave a resurgence to the map artists of 2b2t, who now have practically infinite map IDs to work with. For example, Sky256 spent a week during December creating an automatic map art creation program. All he has to do is upload an image, and 3 bots on the server will place carpets in the exact spots needed. When Sky wrote his GitHub post about it, the bots had placed over 89 million carpets and averaged 36 map art creations a day. This was totally abused by Sea Lantern Gang, which across 6 weeks made the largest map art ever constructed in survival Minecraft.
Narnia!
This is Narnia, and is 56 by 31 maps, or 1,728 total maps. Sky's software is incredible. Over 6,000 unique map arts have been made with it, which you can see in the map art Discord. At the end of the year, at long last, Jack the Ripper finished Space Valkyria 3, his magnum opus, the end base 6 years in the making. On December 25th, the players across 2b2t noticed map arts that directed them to the Space Valkyria 3 release trailer. In early 2024, 2b2t updated to 1.20. It seemed the new system Housemaster implemented was working. For 14 years, players have pushed the limits of Minecraft on 2b2t to do astounding stuff. When I first started this project, I thought joining 2b2t myself and griefing a beautiful base might be a fitting way to end it. But now, I realize the server is so much more than that. The way to get your name out there, to leave your mark on history, is by creating, not destroying. This is something I spoke with Crowbar about, who told me he sees Minecraft as a canvas for painting. But more recently, he's decided to move his creative focus from the digital to the physical. I'm now standing with him at the location of his final build on 2b2t. Crowbar, what are we looking at?
2B is like a black hole for my time.
so I put a ring on it.
And where down we go.
Whoa!
Where down we go. Say where down we go.
Absolute freaking cinema.
Down to your car. Oh, way down we go.
Yeah! Thank you for the raid, Grumpcat. Wow, so many people worked on this project together. Joey Coconuts. Turban. Jack! Jack, my favorite. Fitz! I wonder if Pop Bob will be on here. Dig MC. Oh, the Wiki writers. Okay. Yeah! This is such a cool credit scene. I love it. So many hours, so many years. Thanks for the raid, Lava. Volcano alert. Oh my gosh. That was incredible. Bye bye.